Xiefeng. May 23, 2018. Translated by Qinyu and edited by Peter. Rambling is chatting. Chatting can be endless, free from rules and regulations, letting one's thoughts float in the wind, aimlessly like mature dandelion seeds. Everyone encounters two doors every day. One door leads to heaven, and the other leads to hell. Whether you go to heaven or to hell depends entirely on how you treat people and things. If you treat them right, your path ahead will be bright and full of flowers. And if you treat them wrong, your path ahead will be full of mud, and you can only trudge along. Every day in life, we are taking exams. What we should do and how to do it is the exam. The examiner is the greatest creator. Our ultimate destination is decided by the accumulated daily exam results. With excellent results, there is no doubt we will go to heaven. With poor results, there is no doubt we will go to hell. Every day in life, we can have the good fortune of meeting angels. In everyday life, we always deal with people. Even the person we meet in the WeChat group might be an angel. If we treat angels kindly and sincerely, our lives might turn around and we may get to know the secrets of life. If we treat angels badly, we may miss a good connection and a good future. Everyone's outcome is an accumulation of his lifetime's thoughts and behavior. Do not take the chance and think that if you hurt a person or life you will not be punished. It is impossible. Punishment is bound to come. Even if we once ridiculed someone, even if we once gave someone a contemptuous look, even if we once humiliated someone with vulgar language, punishment would inevitably come. Some punishments are obvious, but most of the punishments are without a trace. It just happens without our noticing of it. For example, we should have eaten ginseng fruit, but in fact we got sour plums. We should have done something smoothly, but in fact we encountered obstacles and resistance. To analyze and judge a phenomenon, three basic factors need to be considered. One is affection, one is reason, and one is nature. Some phenomena conform to affection but not reason and nature. Some phenomena conform to reason but not affection and nature. And some phenomena conform to nature but not affection and reason. Some unreasonable phenomena are in line with affection and nature. Some ruthless phenomena are in line with reason and nature, and some phenomena that are neither in line with reason nor affection but are in line with nature. Therefore, it is best not to judge any phenomenon in life. It is easy to misjudge and cause harm, unless we take everything into consideration that are the three factors: affection, reason, and nature. Last year, I went to Vanuatu, the Pacific Island country, and chatted with Mr. Steven, the person in charge of Eden of the East. He said that people should be vegetarian instead of meat eaters. I asked, "Can't we eat pork?" He said we shouldn't. I said that everything has its value of existence. So what is the value of existence of pigs? He told me a lot and it made sense, but I explained my understanding to him. I said that balance is a law of the universe. This law conforms to the law that the sum of positive and negative energies is zero. Its basic principle is that it rises here but falls there. It increases here but decreases there. It gains here but loses there. And it strengthens here but weakens there. For example, if a person's words hurt many people, the balance of it will be that he can no longer talk. If a person takes advantage of the world, he will definitely be balanced by paying the price for this. If a person owes someone a debt, it will be balanced by his repaying the debt. If a person cruelly killed another life, it will definitely be balanced by the giving of his own life. In this sense, a pig must be the reincarnation of a certain person as a result of his words bringing too much hurt to others. He took too much advantage of others, he owed too much debt, and cruelly killed a certain life. Only by reincarnating as a pig and paying with his own hair, bones, blood, flesh, and life can he balance the debts he owed in his previous life. In this sense, eating meat is a kind of benevolence, and not eating meat is cruel. Why do I say so? When a person owes a debt, he will be reincarnated as a pig to repay. If you do not eat his meat, that means that he is not allowed to repay his debts, and he has to continue to carry his debts and reincarnate again and again in the livestock world. This is a bit cruel. But if you eat his meat, it lets him repay his debts and leave behind his reincarnation in the pig world and return to the human world as a human being. Isn't it a good deed? There are endless truths that people need to learn and understand in their lives. There is a deep understanding that I want to share with everyone. This is to never hurt anyone in your life. Do not hurt with words, nor with deeds, eyes, mouth, hands, feet, or thoughts. Even if others hurt you, you must never deal with a man as he deals with you. Just say good words, as many as you like, and never say anything bad. Once you do, it will become sin, and it will be too late to remedy. Fish are in the water, people are in the Tao, and the operation and changes of all phenomena and things in the world are in the Tao, and there are no people or things that should be wronged. Feeling being wronged is because of your not understanding cause and effect. If you understand the law of cause and effect, you will know that everything is appropriate. It is really divine punishments, though slow, are always sure, with big meshes yet letting nothing slip through. Therefore, if others hurt you, they will be handed over to the Tao's handling and arrangement. We ourselves will never hurt people, will never hurt anyone. An Ode to Utopia, Xiefeng, April 9th, 2024. Translation edited by Qin Yu. Utopia embodies the loftiest and most beautiful ideals of humanity. A person without a longing for utopia is akin to a rat living in a gutter. A nation without a group of people pursuing utopia is a soulless species. Owen's New Harmony Community, a utopian experiment, failed. Does failure mean that the pursuit of an ideal society is erroneous? Without the pursuit of an ideal society, wouldn't we become walking corpses? The bestsellers of anti-utopian books such as 1984, Brave New World, Animal Farm, We, This Perfect Day, The Handmaid's Tale, It Can't Happen Here, Harmony, Lord of the Flies, Maid of the Century, Neuromancer, Iron Heel, Chrysalis, and others have made people start to despise the utopian ideal. But what we haven't realized is that it is precisely these anti-utopian thinkers who have paved the way for the arrival of utopia, making us clearly understand what should and should not be in the utopian ideal. Just like the failure of the New Harmony Community provided material for reflection and improvement for the second home of Life Genuine, making the second home lifestyle not only exist healthily for 16 years, but also remain vibrant and full of vitality. Anti-utopians have three major pieces of evidence or ironclad proofs: the failure of historical utopian practices, the warnings of anti-utopian fiction, and the drawbacks brought to people's livelihood by the totalitarian system caused by the utopian nature of social practices such as North Korea, the Soviet Union, China, and others. What I see is the opposite. It is precisely the failure of utopian practices, the warnings of anti-utopian fiction, and the utopian nature of social practices in countries like the Soviet Union, China, and North Korea that provide a massive number of factors that can be referenced and warned against for the creation of a truly ideal utopian society. When utopian thought completely disappears, what will be left for humanity? Currently, people are striving for an open free market economy, the inviolability of private property, and one person, one vote to elect leaders at all levels of government. I want to say that these three pursuits are very good. If these three pursuits are realized, society will prosper, the government will be relatively clean, people will gain more freedom, and productivity will be liberated and maximized to the greatest extent. This is better than any social operating system in human history. But have we ever thought that an open free market economy is like an open African savanna, where various animals forage and reproduce freely on the open savanna? Please watch the survival situation of the animal world in the African savanna or jungle. Is that the ideal living environment and state for humans? The inviolability of private property has a good side. For example, property legally obtained through hard work and wisdom should be protected. But who can determine whether their property is obtained through legitimate means? Should a legally obtained property also be protected? Do the poor who have nothing still have hope and opportunity to live a wealthy life? How many people at the bottom of society can counterattack to become middle class? One person, one vote to elect leaders at all levels of government is a good measure, but the person elected by one person, one vote must be someone who can cater to the vulgar wishes of the public, a mediocre person who pursues political correctness. It is very difficult for a truly visionary sage to be elected as a leader. Good. Now we eliminate all utopian thoughts and practices in the bud, taking the United States, which has the most perfect democratic system on the planet today, as an example. Please tell me, how do we solve the following 8 problems? Theft and robbery, dereliction of duty by officials and civil servants, the old age security of the poor, drug use and trafficking, class contradictions caused by wealth disparity, the inner troubles, pains, anxieties, and worries of family members, huge military spending, homeless wanderers. Without an ideal utopian society, many problems facing humanity are insoluble. Do we think that these insoluble problems should exist? Do we think these problems are unsolvable? The new production and living model created by the second home of Life Genuine is a true utopian mechanism. Before understanding the utopian model of the second home, easily conclude that utopia is unfeasible and unsustainable. Don't you feel ignorant? Don't you feel too dogmatic? Analysis of 8 major life views and the life view of Chanyuan Celestials. Xiefeng. A life view is a fundamental perspective and attitude that a person holds about the value, meaning, purpose, and the chosen path to achieve those purposes in life. Life views vary greatly, and in the current state of human society, there are roughly 8 major life views. Materialistic satisfaction life view. This life view believes that life is primarily about maximizing material gains and pleasures, while considering everything else as intangible and unprofitable. Consequently, they prioritize the pursuit of material benefits and pleasures as life's highest principle. They spare no expense and employ any means to chase and acquire wealth. Their entire existence centers around the relentless pursuit of financial riches. Their approach to learning, work, thinking, communication, and relationship management solely hinges on whether it can bring them material gain. The sayings, "people die for wealth, birds die for food, and money makes the world go round," epitomize this life perspective. Physiological satisfaction life view. This life view focuses on fulfilling basic physiological desires, including food, clothing, shelter, transportation, and sexual pleasure. Those who adhere to this perspective spend their entire lives striving to maximize their quality of life in these aspects, emphasizing the importance of enjoying good food, dressing well, residing in comfortable accommodations, having reliable means of transportation, and fulfilling their sexual desires. The saying "traveling 1,000 miles for an official position is all for good food and clothing" exemplifies this view. Pursuit of fame and reputation life view. This life view believes that one's existence should be marked by leaving behind a name of honor. Therefore, those who hold this perspective highly value their personal integrity, reputation, and public recognition. Even if they cannot achieve everlasting fame, they are willing to be remembered, whether for good or ill, for thousands of years. Their life's purpose revolves around glorifying their ancestors, seeking glory, and achieving prominence throughout their lifetime. They aim to earn the praise and admiration of others and prioritize their public image over everything else. They are so concerned with their image that they would rather die with honor than live without it. The saying "a wild goose leaves a voice, a person leaves a name" perfectly captures this life view. Self-centered life view. This life view asserts that the sun is at the center of the universe, the earth is at the center of the solar system, humans are at the center of all living beings, and the self is at the center of human society. Individuals adhering to this view prioritize self-satisfaction and self-improvement. They approach life with self-centeredness and self-interest, making decisions based on whether they benefit personally. This perspective is held by those who proclaim, "All is me, and I am all, and I am my own God." Acceptance of natural destiny. This life perspective believes that everything is predestined, merely acting out scenes in the cosmic drama. Individuals see themselves as mere chess pieces on the greatest creator's chessboard, considering personal endeavors and pursuits as futile. They are encouraged to passively accept their fate, adhering to the belief that there is a time for everything, and everything happens in its own time. Don't force anything when it's not meant to be. This epitomizes the essence of this life view. Human triumphs over destiny life view. This life perspective believes in the superiority of humans among all beings. It asserts that human happiness relies solely on self-creation, rejecting the notion of a savior or divine being in the universe. They actively work to reshape nature to align with human desires, fostering an optimistic and proactive approach to life. This life view is reflected in lyrics like, "There's never been any savior, no gods or emperors. To create human happiness, it's entirely up to ourselves," as sung in the Internationale. Self-sacrificing life view. This life view holds that life's purpose is to serve others and society. Those who embrace it prioritize benefiting sentient beings as their guiding principle. They are entirely selfless, dedicating themselves wholeheartedly to serving others and the public good. They emulate the dedication of the silkworm, spinning till death, and the candle, burning till it turns to ashes and dries up the tears. Individuals embracing this life view exemplify the phrase, to exhaust oneself in service until death, devoting themselves entirely to guiding all sentient beings, embodying the pinnacle of this life view. Attaining immortality or Buddhahood life view. This life view regards life as illusory and the material world as a mere illusion. Everything in the worldly realm is seen as not worth pursuing. The primary goal in life, according to this perspective, is to elevate oneself and attain supreme enlightenment to reach heaven. As a result, individuals who hold this view are passionate about spiritual practice, cultivation techniques, and the dissemination of spiritual teachings. They are not inclined to marry, start families, or have children, nor do they wish to engage in the creation of the material world. They seek not life but immortality, and they long not for this world but for heaven. They do not have a concept of the greatest creator. Those who say, life is like a dream, and the four great elements are all empty, exemplify this life view. Life view of Chanyuan Celestials and Life of Chanyuan. The life view of Chanyuan Celestial is a holographic life view, which encompasses 8 fundamental principles, placing the greatest creator at the center and following the way of Tao, reverence for the greatest creator, life, and nature, walking the way of the greatest creator. The purpose of life is to attain joy, happiness, freedom, and bliss, maintaining an active, positive, and optimistic attitude and emotions. The value and significance of life lies in seeking to become an immortal. Life is considered meaningless if it doesn't lead to the ultimate destination of heaven. Thus, everything is perceived as a game, and only life is real. Taking things as they are, associate with others by following naturally come-and-go relations, act in accordance with our natures, and take advantage of opportunities as they arise. Preferring non-ownership, enjoying collective life, considering diligent work as life's top priority, while deeply abhorring laziness, selfishness, greed, possession, jealousy, and mutual comparisons. Regarding marriage and family life as a sea of suffering, Chanyuan Celestials choose not to marry or have families. Embracing the motto, the sage is selfless and therefore becomes truly self, Chanyuan Celestials consider selfless dedication as their guiding principle. Throughout their lives, they will strive to create the Life of Chanyuan era for humanity, so as to repay the accumulated debts from countless past lives and amassing treasures in heaven. Analysis of the source of human happiness and suffering. Xiefeng. Everyone has experienced moments of happiness as well as moments of pain. So, where does happiness or pain come from? What factors lead to it? Fundamentally, the world is not wrong. All faults lie within ourselves. If the happy Adam and Eve had followed the warning of the owner of Eden not to eat the forbidden fruit, then the suffering of being expelled from the Garden of Eden would not have occurred. Therefore, Adam and Eve's pain originated from within themselves due to their own actions. In fact, when we observe the happiness and pain that each person experiences, once we trace it back to its source, we will inevitably find that the root cause of happiness or suffering is oneself, without exception. As we continue to explore, we will discover that the pivotal moments leading to our happiness or suffering stem from how we interact with familiar individuals. Our choice of words, emotional responses, attitudes, and behavior towards them. When we communicate with others using gentle and warm language, maintain pleasant and joyful emotions, display an elegant and positive attitude, and exhibit caring and protective behavior, the feedback we receive from those around us is predominantly happiness. Conversely, if our communication is negative, our emotions are marked by anger and disgust, our attitude is abrasive, and our behavior is harmful, then the feedback we receive from those around us tends to be filled with pain. Furthermore, we will find that the closer people are to us, the easier it is for them to bring happiness or suffering. Parents, children, husbands, wives, lovers, neighbors, relatives, friends, classmates, colleagues, superiors, subordinates, idols, fans, etc., are the main sources of happiness or suffering for ourselves. Individuals in middle age and older adults should deeply feel this phenomenon. In the process of interacting with people close to us, there is too much helplessness and sadness, as well as unspeakable bitterness in our hearts. Knowing the source of happiness and suffering for each person, we should effectively solve this problem, that is, to maximize happiness and minimize suffering. But a sadly obvious fact is that humanity has survived for thousands of years without fundamentally solving this problem. People have mostly tried to alleviate confronts and conflicts between individuals from the perspective of morality and ethics. But the reality tells us that whether it is advocating for gentleness, kindness, modesty, frugality, and humility, or advocating for benevolence, righteousness, ritual, wisdom, and credibility, whether it is trying to use religious teachings or legal perspectives, none have completely solved the troubles and pains of human interaction. The birth of Life Genuine, particularly the emergence of the new human production and living mode created by Life Genuine, effectively alleviated the pain caused by interacting with close individuals. The 15-year practice of living in the second home demonstrates that people can interact with each other harmoniously and amicably. This interaction not only brings more joy and happiness, but also significantly reduces the troubles and pains associated with human interaction. I hope this will draw the attention and exploration of all individuals worldwide who struggle with getting along with close people. Throughout human history, only the innovative production and living mode established by Life Genuine, namely the second home model, have been able to address the troubles and pains of human life. Be simpler, much simpler. Xiefeng. June 11, 2012. Translation edited by Qin Yu. A complex mind leads to a complex life. Excessive pursuit, greed, and possession result in dissatisfaction and a rocky destiny. Life is but a journey of the soul through the human world, and in the end, we must disembark. Whether it's against our will or as we wish in the end, it all comes to naught. So, the most beautiful life is a simple life. Since life is a journey, let us enjoy the scenery along the way and travel light. Do not linger on the past landscapes. Better ones lie ahead. Do not regret the sights you have passed, as everything is but a fleeting dream. Live simply, even more simply. Do not burden yourself with weariness, anxiety, and troubles. Do not harbor ambitions and aspirations. Do not seek lasting fame. Do not hope for others to admire you. Discard the idea of having a name. Seek only inner peace and a clear conscience. Do not crave knowledge and learning. Earthworms and little birds live. Content lives without knowledge or learning. Those who claim to be experts in both Eastern and Western knowledge are fools who do not comprehend the true meaning of life. We aim for joy and happiness at every moment and in every situation. Do not covet material possessions. Do not buy houses, cars, or stash money in banks. Simply have enough to meet your needs, or even better, have nothing at all, like the residents of Life Genuine's second home. They possess nothing but lack for nothing. Do not constantly expect to become a celestial, a Buddha, or reach heaven. Attachment is a hindrance. Live in the present. As long as every present moment is joyful, the ultimate ending will be blissful. True cultivation requires no cultivation. The highest realm of Buddhism is non-practice, and the highest form of martial arts is non-technique. The most refined management is non-management. In heaven, there are no books. Everything in existence, every phenomenon, is the best revelation. Therefore, do not read books all day long, especially complex and burdensome ones, and especially those that encourage the pursuit of success, wealth, and fame. When you are idle and bored, read the little birds and the flowers. Read the wind, clouds, rain, and snow. Read the bees and ants. Read the bamboo, willow trees, and the small streams. Do not cultivate relationships with people. Do not flatter or fawn over those with power and influence. Do not envy the rich and famous, and do not chase after or imitate celebrities. Live naturally, walk your own path, cultivate your own way, speak your own words, be your own person. Entrust your life to the greatest creator and let the Tao manage your life. Everything else should follow your natural inclinations. Do not pass judgment on others, even if they are demons. Everything in the world has a proper arrangement. The mouth should not despise the anus for being too dirty, and the anus should not be envious of the mouth's nobility. Do not criticize others, for each person has their own life path and unique character and strengths. Speaking ill of others reveals your own inner ugliness. Do not learn too many skills. Having one skill is sufficient. If you lack any skills, possessing a single virtue is enough to lead an easy life, whether it's honesty, diligence, kindness, simplicity, trustworthiness, or sincerity. Life is brief, so why make yourself busy and tired? Avoid extravagance and waste. Do not consume what is unnecessary. Do not indulge in what you don't need. Do not enjoy excessively. Do not crave excessively. Do not pursue excessively. Salted turnips and steamed bread of corn are good food. A bamboo fence and a thatched cottage together offer beautiful scenery. Even Taoist temples and monasteries are not as beautiful. Where roosters crow, dogs bark, and children play, that is the beauty of life. We should not overly discuss cultivation. It's a form of attachment. Avoid traveling far and wide, seeking high-level masters to discuss how to cultivate. Many methods of cultivation are, in reality, costly and laborious. Do not harbor delusions of acquiring supernatural powers and special abilities through cultivation. Instead, work diligently and live honestly. Cultivate your own way and earn your own keep. Do not pray for windfalls from the sky. Live simply, even more simply. Learn to enjoy a simple life and do not let desires, anger, or ignorance pull you around. Take things as they are, associate with others by following predestined relations, act in accordance with nature, and take advantage of opportunities as they arise. Don't stir up trouble without reason and don't seek trouble when there is none. Calm yourself and enjoy your life. Spend more time with the sunrise, the sunset, and the bright moon. Communicate more with flowers, plants, insects, and birds. Sing, dance, walk, and play to your heart's content. Chanyuan celestials bask in the radiance of the greatest creator. Jesus Christ, Buddha Shakyamuni, Laozi, and sages throughout history accompany us. Your life, including your sustenance, clothing, housing, and every aspect of life, is under the protection of the divine. Do not worry about anything, do not be afraid, do not be anxious, do not prepare for the future. As long as you understand that clear water is more important than strong coffee or other beverages, and as long as you keep the water, everything else will come. Your wishes will eventually be fulfilled, and your ideals will certainly be realized. Being a human knowledge. 1. Xiefeng. The more chaotic and morally corrupt the era, the more important it is to maintain one's integrity. In a society with complex and confused values, it is crucial to uphold one's integrity. In times of social unrest and anxiety, it is even more important to stay true to oneself. When facing personal adversity, oppression, poverty, and illness, it is essential to maintain one's integrity. Being a human is not about being a good or kind person, achieving status or wealth, seeking the approval and praise of others, or becoming successful in the future. It is about living with dignity, peace of mind, prospects, and being truly human, not like a ghost, demon, monster, devil, or beast. I will first list the following 28 principles as the fundamental knowledge for being a human. Never break your promises. Keeping your word is the foremost duty of being a human. Once you break your trust with someone, it is difficult to restore it. A single act of betrayal can have lifelong consequences. Maintain a sense of gratitude. Regardless of who they are, if someone has shown you even the slightest kindness, remember it forever. As a result, always respect and honor your parents. Express gratitude to teachers, masters, and mentors. Cherish the bond of siblings, and be thankful to anyone who has helped you in any situation. Be grateful to the opposite sex with whom you have had intimate relationships. Although it may be impossible to fully repay a favor, always remember it and treat those who have helped you with utmost respect, using gentle words, humble gestures, and a warm expression. Do not argue with elders. Do not bully those who are weaker, poorer, or disadvantaged. Do not ridicule those with physical disabilities. Do not bully widows, widowers, or individuals with disabilities. Prioritize the well-being of the elderly and women when there are advantages or benefits in the current situation. Do not waste even a morsel of food. Do not compete with superiors for recognition. Use only what you earn through your own labor and never exploit even the smallest advantage. In a group, listen more to those who are more important than yourself and speak less. Expand outwardly and do not compete for profits with siblings. Do not disrespect deities, gods, Buddhas, celestials, and saints. Do not enter someone's home or bedroom without permission. Do not pocket anything found on the ground. Do not interfere in other people's affairs unless asked. Never intrude upon others' privacy, including refraining from reading their letters and phone messages and avoiding engaging in gossip. Especially avoid prying into the privacy of close friends, family, and romantic partners. Do not voluntarily report the crimes of close relatives to the authorities. Do what you are capable of doing and do it well. Do not undertake tasks beyond your ability. Do what you truly enjoy from the depths of your heart, rather than being led by vanity and money. Have at least 2 sincere friends who can mutually support each other. Adapt to local customs and do not cling stubbornly to your own opinions. Avoid having peculiar tastes and demands. Learn to accept things as they are. Don't scheme and strive for grand achievements, and only accept rewards when deserving. In any situation, at any time, prioritize harmonious interactions with others. Do not engage in theft, robbery, gambling, drug trafficking, rebellion, deception, abduction activities, and organizations. Never attempt to change others. Act in accordance with your nature, associate with others by following natural come-and-go relations, accept things as they are, and take advantage of opportunities that arise. Obey laws and regulations. Even if 99 out of 100 people disregard the law, you must persist in adhering to it. Foster independent thinking and entrepreneurship from a young age. These 28 principles are the basic guidelines for being a human. Being a human is difficult, sometimes feeling helpless in the world. But while the body may be beyond our control, our hearts are within our control. As long as we adhere to these basic principles throughout our lives, gradually, we will distance ourselves from suffering and calamities, moving towards good fortune and auspiciousness, and lay a solid foundation for our future cultivation, enabling us to embark on the path of becoming celestial beings or Buddhas and embarking on a spiritual journey towards heaven. Being a human, knowledge, too. Observe the social upheavals, rampant epidemics, frequent disasters, widespread hunger, and various movements throughout history. People were deeply involved, yet there were always those who remained unscathed because they upheld the integrity of being human. If you don't believe in karma and consequences, then go ahead and commit evil acts and join forces with the wicked. If you believe that heaven does not spare anyone, then learn the knowledge of being human and become a true human being. Do not define or pass judgment on others. Only the divine can discern right from wrong, and the Tao judges our merits and demerits. In the grand script of universal life, human cognitive abilities are insignificant. If we define and pass judgment on others, we may make grave mistakes and create great misfortune. Do not believe hearsay. Unless verified personally or scientifically, regardless of the source of information, even if it comes from authorities or experts, simply listen to it without fully believing it. Especially in times of confusion and moral ambiguity, what is attacked and insulted may be the most noble, and what is praised and admired may be the most vile and despicable. Respect life and do not harm any living beings. Especially, do not harm snakes, turtles, or cranes, and above all, do not harm human lives. Avoid borrowing money unless absolutely necessary, especially avoid going into debt for consumption. Minimize accumulating debts of gratitude. Debts of gratitude are like divine shackles. Once incurred and left unpaid, they will bind you for life. Endure humiliation, if necessary, but do not kneel easily. Once you kneel, it will be difficult to stand again. Never speak or act in a mystical or mysterious manner. Respect facts, respect science, respect logic, and respect spiritual perception. Absolutely refrain from doing things secretly or in a sneaky manner. Conduct affairs according to established procedures without relying on bribery or connections. Do not exploit legal loopholes, do not exploit the weaknesses of others, and do not violate the arrangements of heaven. Focus on accomplishing tasks rather than engaging in idle chatter. Discuss matters more and talk less about people. Do not attack the homeland, the people, or the ancestors. Stay away from popular figures to avoid being influenced by fleeting trends. Do not tie yourself to the bandwagon of pity just because someone else is pitiable. Do not fabricate false facts. Regardless of where or when, and regardless of the person involved, honesty is always the best policy. Regarding private matters between consenting men and women, do not stand on a moral high ground to make judgments or follow the opinions of others. Cultivate good speech and refrain from generating evil speech. Let everything progress naturally and reach its proper conclusion. Avoid forcing things. Forcing goes against the natural way and will inevitably sow the seeds of calamity. Admit when you don't understand something instead of pretending to know. Once you pretend to know, you will be laughed at and troubled. Complete what you start and bring closure to relationships with others. Without completion, you will end up adrift like a floating duckweed. The world changes, calamities persist, dynasties rise and fall, and unexpected events occur. The journey of life is filled with crises and risks. It is impossible to escape the heavenly net by relying solely on human wit and intelligence. Only by upholding the integrity of being human do we have hope of navigating our life's sailboat through stormy waves and reaching the shores of our ideals. Being a human, knowledge. 3. Xiefeng. It is necessary to read the book without words, which contains all the knowledge of being human. Reading the book without words is a way to communicate with nature and have a dialogue with the greatest creator. The knowledge accumulated by humanity, apart from books that reveal the mysteries of nature such as mathematics, physics, chemistry, and biology, is mostly garbage. The knowledge in fields such as politics, economics, sociology, history, and humanities distorts reality or provides short-sighted explanations of certain eras or phenomena. They are not sufficient as the basis and reference for being human. For example, the popular trend of success literature in recent times is nothing but harmful. Even philosophy, which is a mental game, is not a necessary condition for being human. All things and phenomena in nature are books without words, and all the joys, sorrows, separations, reunions, and changes in human society are also books without words. Reading the sky, the earth, people, animals, plants, insects, and microorganisms, as well as social phenomena, is reading the book without words. People may deceive each other, but the book without words will not deceive. Therefore, it is best to listen less to what people say, but rather listen to what the universe and all things are saying. Embrace your fate. Nature presents an array of forms, and the inherent nature and trajectory of each life form are predetermined from the day of its birth. Throughout countless millennia, no life form has altered its fundamental nature and life path. Although humans possess thoughts and creative abilities, fundamentally they are no different from the countless other life forms. From the moment of birth, each person's life's merits and demerits, fortunes and misfortunes, and life's trajectory have already been predetermined. Trying to change this destiny is equivalent to choosing one's parents, the era of birth, and the environment, which is entirely impossible. Therefore, accepting one's destiny is the best choice. Accepting one's destiny leads to contentment, understanding, adaptability, happiness, and even spiritual enlightenment. Not accepting one's destiny leads to impatience, anger, resentment, setbacks, hardships, and calamities. Follow your nature. Following your nature means doing what you genuinely like. However, people generally cannot follow their nature due to considerations for the needs of those around them, supporting their families, social responsibilities, legal constraints, public opinion, and more. Those who can truly follow their nature are few in number. Nature is Buddha, and following your nature is being a Buddha. Nature is celestial being, and following your nature is being a celestial being. What does it mean to follow your nature? If you desire to own a luxurious mansion and have several servants serving you, it is not following your true nature, but rather succumbing to vanity and desire. It is following your ego and conforming to society's values. To follow your nature means that if you want to sing folk songs on the street in the middle of the night, you can do so. If you want to commute naked on a scorching hot day, you can do so. If you want to stay away from someone, you can do so. If you want to get close to someone, you can do so. and so on. Do not imitate others or take them as your role models. Never try to learn, imitate, or become someone else. Each person is unique, and no one can ever become another person. Those who excel possess innate talents and missions that cannot be acquired through imitation. Therefore, be yourself. Learn to create. Everything we see is created. Creation is the source of joy and vitality in life. True sweetness and happiness do not come from material pleasures, but from spiritual and mental enjoyment. Creation is the primary source of spiritual and mental enjoyment. Therefore, strive to create something out of nothing and make efforts in creation. Look at the super celestials of the celestial islands continent. Each one of them is skilled and adept at creation. Even the infinite vitality they manifest is a result of their creative thinking. Do not chase after trends. Trends may come forcefully, but they will eventually turn into bubbles. For example, the trends of buying houses and cars, farmers rushing into cities, or college students striving to become civil servants, these endless waves of trends. If one's life does not settle down and instead constantly chases after trends, their life will be reduced to a bubble. Accumulate energy throughout life. To achieve great ideals, one relies on abilities rather than luck. To ensure a worry-free life in terms of livelihood, clothing, housing, transportation, aging, and illness, one relies on personal abilities. Depending on the nation, the government, the system, or future generations for support is a gamble in life. All reliance on the external world is a gamble in life. Relying on the moral and ethical values preached by human culture to achieve one's beautiful ideals is an illusory and beautiful mirage. Therefore, lifelong energy accumulation is essential. This energy is not primarily material or meticulously cultivated social connections, but rather one's personal character, inner depth, and survival capabilities. Maintain lifelong diligence. As long as one is alive, whether in their 30s, 70s, or 80s, they should never have the idea of, "I can enjoy life now." Instead, they should maintain a mindset of, "I hear the Tao in the morning, and I die content in the evening." Continuously learn, explore, study, and contemplate. Continuously elevate one's life's realm to deeper, broader, and more profound multidimensional time and space. Maintain an open mindset. Due to the accumulated influence of history and culture in our consciousness, we instinctively consider certain knowledge as truth. In eras when women bound their feet, men wore braids, and virtuous arches were erected for married women, we considered these practices as natural. In certain specific periods, we may even consider unmarried cohabitation as a crime. Such distorted perceptions tell us that what we staunchly defend may be the most ignorant thing. The era is progressing, and humanity will eventually break free from the ignorant prejudices and move towards civilization. What is universally accepted today, when viewed from the perspective of future civilization, will be recognized as incorrect. What is considered right today may be found to be wrong tomorrow. Therefore, it is necessary to maintain an open mindset as a human being. Do not feel the need to condemn or attack present irrational phenomena or events. All knowledge representing civilization may appear irrational and unreasonable during periods of ignorance. Decades or centuries later, people will realize that those thoughts and things considered wrong today are, in fact, the most reasonable and rational phenomena. The summaries provided in Being a Human Knowledge 1, Being a Human Knowledge 2, and Being a Human Knowledge 3 offer initial guidelines and standards for being human. Knowledge about being human is extensive, ranging from cultivating upbringing, self-cultivation, and self-restraint to the enhancement of EQ, IQ, and SQ, ultimately enabling one to navigate through the trivialities of daily life and complete the journey of life perfectly, leading to the sublimation of life to heaven. This is a profound subject that requires further contemplation and deepening of the connotations and extensions of being human. May everyone strive for perfection as a human being and make the most of their journey in this human world. Check if you are a gambler. Xiefeng. May 22nd, 2020. Translated by Qin Yu and edited by Care. Do you gamble? Check this out. What is a gambler? It is anyone who wants to win rich rewards by betting their money, youth, future, and life on uncertain things which they self-identify as certainty. Gamblers lose everything that they begin with, including the clothes on their backs. Eventually, are there any who earn good lives by gambling? Casino dealers can do very well, but they are not really gambling because the games are all stacked in their favor, but most people who participate in gambling will lose and will end up with crushing losses. The truth is simple and clear, but people still want to gamble. All are gambling. I studied carefully and discovered the surprising phenomenon that almost everyone gambles, with marriage being the biggest gamble in life. You cannot be sure of its outcome. You can never fully understand the other person's personality, outlook, temperament, character, interests, and other factors, but you are betting your whole youth and your entire life on them. You expect to be happy, joyous, harmonious, and blessed, and expect to remain in love with each other for your lifetime. But then what happens? It is not necessary to analyze the results. The eventual result of all gambling is that the gamblers all lose. Since marriage is a big gamble, the result is of course tragic. Participating in religion and becoming a believer is also gambling. You base your destiny and future by betting on the religious rituals, ideas, practices, and beliefs that you firmly believe are correct. But is your religion the absolute truth? Almost every religion claims that theirs is the only correct belief, but this is only its own wishful thinking. Can it withstand the challenges of facts, science, logic, and spiritual perception? Regarding the three major religions, Christianity, Islam, and Buddhism, they are each contradictory in terms of life and death, so which one is right? After death, are there reincarnations, or merely lying quietly and waiting unconsciously for a final judgment and possible resurrection? If you are not sure, then are you not gambling? Christianity practices monogamy, Islam allows men to have 4 wives, and Buddhists do not marry at all to become monks and nuns. Which one is consistent with the truth of the universe? It is said that there are more than 1,000 political parties in the world. No matter which one you choose to join to become a member of, you will still be doing the equivalent of gambling in a casino. Political parties are contenders for power and interest. As long as you compete and race for them, there will be winners and losers. Anything that has winners and losers is a gamble. Therefore, partisans are also gamblers. Do you have children? If your main purpose of giving birth to children is to bring glory to your ancestors and to protect and support yourself in your old age, then you are gambling. Because whether your children can bring glory to your ancestors or protect and support you in your old age is unknown and produces a questionable future. Is not putting your hard work, sweat, and hope on uncertain outcomes gambling? Are you not a gambler? Do you spend time, energy, and money on interpersonal relationships? If so, you are gambling. Whether it is for benefit and safety or for affection and entertainment, as long as you establish special relationships with others, you are gambling. You cannot guarantee whether the special relationships you have forged will be blessings or curses, or whether you are putting yourself at risk or bringing in noble allies. Do you trade stocks, engage in venture investments, support a company financially? If any of these are yes, then you are gambling because you do not know what any of the outcomes will be. You are just taking risks and thinking wishfully about getting generous returns. You can never be sure whether the results will be counterproductive. How different are these endeavors from going into casinos with the intention of winning big money? Whether it is a battlefield, officialdom, a workplace, business, love, a family, a teaching field, or a relationship, its nature is the same as that of casinos. Once you enter any field, you are gambling. You are a gambler. As long as you invest your time, energy, physical strength, mental energy, and even your future on something that cannot be determined for its developmental direction and future results, then you are gambling and you are a gambler. Wake up now and ask yourself, what on earth are you here for? Are you here for a huge gamble? If you think gambling is fun and exciting, then play as much as you like. Anyway, everything is empty in the end, so why not enjoy it? However, if you know that emptiness is not empty, then you had better think deeply about life. Check if you are following the road of devils. Xiefeng, have you ever experienced afflictions, vexation, anxiety, sadness, and fear? Have you been cheated, bullied, blackmailed, oppressed, and humiliated by others? Have you felt frustrated and desperate at life and life? Do you know why all this should happen? Let me tell you, all this is the work of the devil's program. All this happens because many people are walking on the road of devils. The program of the devil tempts people with money, wealth, fame, position, power, beautiful women, and ease and comfort to intermarriage and family, nation and state, political party and religion, businesses, cultivation groups, and various organizations. As a result, these people are kept busy rushing about for all these matters. They would rack their brains and take great risks to achieve these purposes. For these purposes, they would shout their support, cause harm to others, and do damage to other life forms and the nature. People are walking on the road of devils when they struggle for their own interest, for their family's interest, for their nation's interest, for their country's interest, for their political party's interest, for their religion's interest, for their company's interest, and for their organization's interest, and when they each try to cheat the other by sheer cunning and falsehood and grab at each other's throat. Why should things fare like this? Why does not the greatest creator stop us? The principle goes like this. Unity of opposites is a law of the universe. Superior and inferior, up and down, bright and dark, leader and the masses, hell and heaven, higher order of life and lower order of life, man and ghost, man and other animals and plants, carnivores and herbivores. Otherwise, life cannot go on, and the great drama of the universe cannot be staged. It is just like the case of a man for whom eating and drinking form opposites with defecations. The opposites can be united and complement each other. In addition, there is a principle of the universe, namely the sum of positive energy and negative energy is zero. Therefore, everything must be symmetrical, and there must be balance between yin and yang and loss and gain. What one gets in and what one pays out should be orderly, and the power of angel should hold the power of devil in check. To be more specific, in order to survive, man should have animals and plants to provide for his existence. The life at the lower order must serve the life at higher order. Then who will be the man, and who will be the animals and plants? Some people will go to heaven, but who will go to hell to maintain a balance? There are leaders, but there must also be the masses. Thus, the devil's program is necessary. Without it, the universe will lose its balance. The survival of life cannot be guaranteed, and the whole universe will be listless and pale. Actually, the devil Satan is a deity, an archangel and chief angel, who is toiling to maintain the zero sum of positive energy and negative energy. Burdened with notoriety and bad name, he is serving the life of the whole universe. He must deliver many life forms to the lower order of life and lead many life forms to hell. Thus, when a person is walking on the road of devil, he is making his way to the lower order of life and the hell. The devil will not show any appreciation for this, but will say instead, "What an ignorant fool you are." Now let's see whether you have taken the road of the devil. If you have one of the following 18 items, then be careful, you are walking on the road of the devil. You are in marriage and family, rushing about for your own family. You are striving and struggling for your own country, nation, religion, political party, organization, or group. You are concentrating yourself on making money and worrying and rushing about to amass your wealth. You are racking your brain and sparing no effort to win a good fame or secure a high position for yourself. You are stealing, contending, or robbing, mugging, or killing, pilfering, cheating, corrupting, bribing, or accepting bribes, or requiting kindness with enmity. You are doing something in the secret which you are afraid of being discovered. You are bullying, oppressing, blackmailing, exploiting, maltreating, humiliating, or trampling on others. You break your word and do not keep your promise, always trying to find an excuse or reason to exculpate yourself from your fault or crime. You are eating things you are not supposed to eat, using things you have no right to use, and doing things you are not entitled to do. You are affronting or desecrating the greatest creator, or affronting or desecrating God and Buddha, or affronting or desecrating sages and saints, or affronting or desecrating ancestors, or affronting or desecrating president of the country, or affronting or desecrating your own parents, or affronting or desecrating others. You are threatening, abducting, or controlling others and restricting their freedom in the name of love or other excuses. You are propagating and publicizing incorrect outlooks on life, value, life, in the world. You are inciting or abetting others to plot a rebellion. You are spreading gossips and rumors to ruin the close and harmonious relations between others. You are jealous of others' joy and happiness, and you feel resentment at others' freedom and blessing. You are always envying, or complaining, or reprimanding, or hating, or detesting, or attacking, or hurting others. You are always making comparison with others, or prompting others to make comparisons. You are polluting the rivers, the land, and the air with chemical materials, wastewater, and waste gases, or polluting others' spirit and soul with negative, passive, and pessimistic mood. If you have any one of the above 18 items, then you are walking on the road of devil. You should wake up and realize your mistakes and rein in at the brink of precipice before it is too late to repent. Where should I go after turning back from the cliff? Answer: walk on the road to heaven and follow the way of the greatest creator. Classification of people. Xiefeng. On the surface, there doesn't appear to be much difference between one person and another. We all have the same organs, senses, and bodily functions. We all eat, drink, excrete, and engage in activities like walking, sitting, and lying down. However, once we engage with someone, ask them to perform a task, or have a conversation, we quickly realize that people are vastly different from one another. Most individuals tend to believe that they are not much different from others, with distinctions primarily revolving around differences in wealth and social status. In reality, the variations among people are primarily rooted in their spirituality and wisdom. To help us understand what kind of individuals we are, and to provide a sense of direction for personal growth and goals in life, I classify people into 5 categories: ignorant people, worldly people, mortals, sages, and saints. By considering these categories, you can assess where you currently stand in your life journey. Ignorant people. Basic characteristics. They lead instinct-driven lives, often with disordered lifestyles and no clear life goals. Their values are in chaos, and they struggle to prioritize and distinguish between what's essential and what's not. They spend more time engaging in mindless actions than using their intellect. Instincts overpower emotions and rationality. They lack proper self-assessment and an understanding of life's meaning. Their lives are often marked by confusion, frustration, and erratic emotions. They are arrogant, blindly optimistic, and feeling superior when successful, pounding one's chest, feeling pessimistic and disappointed, and blaming the heavens and others when facing setbacks. They are quick to anger, easily irritable, often unreasonable, and susceptible to manipulation by others. They admire heroes, prefer excitement and dramatic events, and are willing to make great sacrifices for their friends. They have no secrets, are straightforward, and lack a sense of responsibility toward family, society, and others. They are selfless and without faith. Worldly people. Basic characteristics. People who live by desire, with the central focus of life being money, fame, status, and beauty. They enjoy flaunting, boasting, and showcasing themselves. They like to praise others and be praised by others. Every word and action revolve tightly around their own interests. When their interests are threatened or harmed, they disown even their closest relatives, be it siblings, friends, companions, colleagues, or superiors and subordinates. They disregard national and ethnic interests, group and family interests, and principles of benevolence, righteousness, courtesy, wisdom, and trust, as well as laws, rules, and regulations. To achieve their goals, they resort to any means, and they repay kindness with enmity. They have a narrow perspective, seeking only personal gain. They heed rumors and readily exaggerate them. They spread gossip without distinguishing between truth and falsehood. They meddle in conflicts, regardless of the consequences. When it comes to acquiring knowledge, they are particularly obsessed with fringe theories, strange tales, conspiracy theories, and privacy breaches. They enjoy hopping from one thing to another, seeking attention. They excel at empty talk and making far-fetched references. Worldly people enjoy engaging in superficiality and also delight in nitpicking, interfering with, and critiquing other people's lives and lifestyles. They are not concerned with reason and fairness, show no mercy when they are right, excel at finding loopholes and seizing advantages, and lack compassion and empathy. They pay little attention to public hygiene, are selfish, and constantly feel that society and others owe them. In places with many disputes, you find worldly people. In families lacking harmony, you find worldly people. Mortals. Basic characteristics. They are people who live based on emotions, and the central focus of their lives is family, relatives, friends, colleagues, classmates, groups, ancestors, countries, and nationalities. Their minimum life standards include having enough food and drink, having healthy and successful children, enjoying a harmonious and happy family, and living in a peaceful and tranquil society. Their intermediate standards include being able to bring glory to their ancestors, to become renowned, hope for their sons to excel, wish for their daughters to succeed, having wealth within their family and a bustling life outside, and having the capacity to seek revenge or settle scores. Their highest standard: to contribute significantly to one's own ethnicity, religion, group, political party, or country, to leave a legacy and be remembered for generations to come. Emotion and reason are the primary factors considered by mortals in handling all matters. They are the most tormented group among the population, as they possess thoughts, emotions, rationality, and ambitions, yet find themselves entangled in the mundane world. They must constantly interact with the ignorant and worldly people, battle against the biases of society, contend with their inner desires, and resist traditional ethical and moral norms. Their inner world is often filled with conflicts and regrets. They yearn for personal growth, but also seek to conform to societal expectations. They require so much yet receive so little. They often lament the scarcity of time and the brevity of life, feeling as though they are adrift in the river of the world, unable to control their own destiny. As they age, they increasingly rely on fate. Mortals do have beliefs, but these beliefs are conforming, blind, helpless, and arbitrary, rather than based on an understanding of truth. Therefore, the faith of mortals is fragile and cannot withstand scrutiny. It changes with the times and the living environment. The reason why they are called mortals lies in their lack of steadfast faith. They cannot and will not derive strength and wisdom from their beliefs. Generations after generations, they can only exist and perish in the painful whirlwind of the mortal world. Mortals tend to regret the past, overlook the present, and yearn for the future. They will never be content, and the suffering of mortals will never end. Sages. Basic characteristics. They are transcendent individuals who lead their lives with reason. They possess clear minds, knowing when to advance, when to retreat, what to seek, and what to forego. Their life goals are to pursue health, wealth, and freedom. They have their own principles and adhere to societal codes of conduct. They can freely manage their time, maintain harmonious and happy families, live in harmony with society and nature, and are mostly liberated from the trappings of fame, status, and wealth. They control their own destinies, move with ease, have extensive knowledge, communicate with civility, display noble conduct, are understanding and reasonable, optimistic, and kind-hearted. They are the pillars of civilized society. Sages are gems among people, possessing significant intrinsic value. Regrettably, while they escape worldly affairs, they cannot escape the limitations of time and space. In the end, they cannot enter the higher realms of life. Sages are just one step away from truth. If they can self-enlighten or receive guidance from higher beings, they can do their best to complete their duty, achieving tranquility, purifying their hearts, and through cultivation, they can attain complete transcendence, become free from worldly concerns, worries, be free from cares, and transcend beyond the ordinary, and ultimately surpass time and space to enter the realm of immortality. Saints, celestials. Basic characteristics. Wise individuals who lead a spiritual life and have attained enlightenment. They have knowledge of the mysteries of the universe, the truth of life, the evolutionary laws of the 36-dimensional spaces, and the essence and meaning of life. They have not only freed themselves from the temptations of wealth, fame, status, and beauty, but also from the constraints of time and space. They live carefree lives, transcending worldly concerns. Saints have mastered the mysteries of thinking. Having understood the mechanics of energy transformation, they can essentially manifest their thoughts into reality, turning life into an enjoyable game, and death has become a beautiful aspiration. Saints do not overly concern themselves with the sufferings of the mortal world. They never interact with worldly people and avoid interacting with mortals. They typically reside in secluded areas near picturesque mountains and rivers, disguising themselves as ordinary citizens, leading a tranquil life detached from worldly strife. They enjoy solitude and value friendships with like-minded individuals. They are not fond of noise and are characterized by activities such as drinking tea, playing chess, reading, and practicing meditation. Sometimes, they may spend an entire day playing with ants or engage in singing competitions with birds. Whether the birds' songs are more melodious or their own hoarse singing sounds better, it doesn't matter to them. As long as it's fun, they enjoy it endlessly. Attaining the realm of a saint undoubtedly leads to the thousand-year world. Above is the classification of people, and by now, I'm sure most of you have an idea of which category you might fall into. If you find yourself as an ignorant person, you might not be able to pinpoint your position, and after reading this classification, you might feel very frustrated, even wishing to throw a few punches at me. If you identify as a worldly person, you may hold some jealousy in your heart because I've exposed your mindset and peeled back your facade. For those of you who see yourselves as mortals, reading this might evoke a sense of sadness. When you witness that some people in the world seem higher and happier than you, an unexplainable jealousy and envy may arise within you, especially when it comes to wealthy individuals. You might have thought that once you become rich, others would envy, respect, and follow you. However, you never imagined that in the eyes of sages, you're still an ordinary person, and in the eyes of saints, you're just an ignorant one. On the other hand, if you identify as a sage, you'll likely be overjoyed, feeling as if you've found a long-admired bosom friend and suddenly realize that your wealth is boundless and that you can benefit infinitely from it. If you consider yourself a saint, you might laugh heartily and criticize me for being idle and wasting time. Regardless of whether you feel anger, jealousy, happiness, or laughter, as long as you take a moment to calm your mind, you'll find a sense of gratitude deep within you. After all, you've come to understand your own state of existence and where you should strive to develop. If you aspire to attain pure spirituality and progress towards the level of a saint, I have categorized human qualities into 18 grades for your reference. Communism is the only way to happiness. For the toiling masses. Xiefeng. November 20th, 2020. Translated by Qin Yu and edited by Care. Communism is actually sharing, and the higher the degree of sharing of things, the greater their value. The most effective way to maximize the value of all resources is to share them with everyone, which is communism's essence. People are inherently selfish, so they reject communism intuitively, and they are most afraid of sharing when they have little material wealth. If a person is so poor that they only have a broken bicycle, then they will be unwilling to allow anyone else to ride it. This is human nature. However, when people not only have material wealth, but also power, status, and reputations, they always want to make themselves and their families live more luxuriously than those around them so that others will envy them. This satisfies their vanity, so they are reluctant to share anything with others. Since Marx founded his theory of communism, the communist movement has almost always been promoted violently and in ways which damage the interests of the property-owning class. The imperfection of Marx's communist theory and the blindness of the behavior of communist practitioners has led to the failure of the communist movement. As a result, when people hear about communism, they instinctively hate it and resist it, which is completely understandable. According to historical experience, I can understand why people demonize and resist communism. This should be a lesson learned, and it can even be said that they are doing right because the so-called communist movements throughout history have run completely counter to the real thing. True communism is gentle, soft, and civilized, not coercive, violent, or depriving others of their property. Who has suffered the most in human history? Of course, it has always been the toiling masses, that is, the common people. For thousands of years, their condition has basically not changed much, and they are still the bearers of most of the suffering. I grew up in Asia, spent more than 10 years in Africa, lived in North America for nearly 4 years, and I have also spent a few months with primitive tribes in Oceania. I felt and experienced deeply the pain and troubles of the commoners everywhere I went. In order to relieve the suffering and troubles of the toiling masses, I have immersed myself in the Bible, Buddhist scriptures, the Quran, the Tao Te Ching, and I have also concentrated on Western spiritual practices and Eastern Osho. I have always paid attention to the global climate and ecological changes, focusing on changes in global political ecology. What I want to tell mankind is that communism is the only bright way out for the common masses. So, what is communism? I have explained some of its theories, but no theories can reveal the essential characteristics of things, let alone analyze all the interpretations and extensions of them. It is only by creating real objects that people can observe intuitively and deeply that they will fully understand them. Therefore, Chanyuan Celestials and I created the purely communistic New Oasis for Life, formerly the Second Home. So if you want to know and understand what communism is, you can visit and experience the New Oasis for Life created by Life Chanyuan for yourselves. Many people equate communism with utopia, and there is nothing wrong with this understanding because utopia is the embryonic form of communism, but most of them throughout history have failed. In order to figure out the reasons for their failures, I have carefully analyzed some historical ones, especially the New Harmonious Village, founded by the utopian socialist practitioner, Owen, in the United States. I wrote an article to analyze the reasons for its failure, in which I opined that its core problem and the reason for its failure was that its utopian leaders did not have clear understandings and blueprints in their minds. They only relied on their passion and were crossing the river by feeling for the stones. So, when encountering the rush of wind, waves, and whirlpools, they could only drown in their rivers. In order to distinguish between the theories and practical activities of communism in history, I call the New Oasis for Life created by Life Chanyuan Xiefeng-style communism. This communism can resolve territorial disputes between countries and excessive consumption of natural resources, solve the corruption problem of government officials, avoid Yang Galen-style tragedies, reduce criminal activities by 3/4, enable people to live and work in peace, eliminate war, turmoil, refugees, and hunger, reduce suicide rates by more than half, and can give 98% of the people happy, joyful, free, and blessed lives. Who are these toiling masses? The term refers to those who have suffered their entire lives for food, clothing, housing, transportation, life, old age, sickness, and death, those who have been struggling for a lifetime and are still struggling, those who have suffered and have been bullied, troubled, and tortured all their lives, those who have been looking forward to getting rich every year, while year after year still wearing torn clothes, those who lack security but see no hope, and those who hate government officials, but on the surface have to show smiles on their faces and be deferential and sycophant to the officials. In short, everyone who wants to live a good life with their hands and diligence are the toiling masses. The cruel reality is that they are people who want to live better lives by hard work, yet their hands cannot rid themselves of troubles, pains, anxiety, sorrow, and even fear throughout their entire lives. This is what happened thousands of years ago. It is the same today, and it will remain this way for thousands of years to come unless we change our traditional production and life mode completely and enter the Xiefeng-style communist society. Otherwise, they will only dream eternally of having better lives. Moral education is always fragile and vulnerable. Christian moral education, Buddhist moral education, Islamic moral education, Confucian moral education, and the moral education of all kinds of sages have been easily destroyed by the face of reality. Look no further than today's China. All Communist Party officials have been raised on Mao Zedong's ideological and moral education, but in the face of money and interests, Mao's thoughts have been shelved. The level of corruption is staggering. Millions of yuan, Even tens of millions are not enough. They embezzled hundreds of millions, billions, or even tens of billions. These servants of the people never cared about the lives of all the young Galens? Who cares about the lives of the toiling masses? Very few. Did decades of moral education work? Not at all. Let us look at the recent U.S. presidential election. Before the result of the election had even been settled, the mainstream media in the United States rushed to declare Joe Biden as the president, followed by the heads of Western democracies such as Britain, France, Germany, Israel, and other similar countries which sent congratulatory letters to Biden for his election victory. Even the president of Taiwan, Tsai Ing-wen, who is known as a Democrat, hurriedly sent congratulatory messages to Biden. No matter who is elected president, respecting the facts and listening to the voices and wishes of the people is the basis and bottom line of morality. The mainstream media's announcements and the congratulations of foreign before the facts had emerged and the votes had been counted violates the basic bottom line of morality and does not conform to legal procedures. What should be emphasized here is that most people in Western society have been educated in Christian morality, but where is the morality of the mainstream media? Where is the morality of those national leaders? Democratic countries are like this, but moral education in non-democratic countries is not even worth considering. The facts tell us that moral education is not enough to allow the toiling masses to live and work in peace and contentment because all spiritual chicken soup is an anesthetic. The current rampant Buddhist preaching is even more of an anesthetic, and the preaching to return to traditional Chinese culture is tantamount to advocating for men to wear braids and long mandarin jackets and women to bind their feet. That mysterious and spooky preaching is a portion of poison. Those who care about the welfare of the toiling masses should seek and establish programs which fundamentally guarantee happy lives for them. It might be very good to say that we should put power in the cage of the system, such that government officials dare not, cannot, and would not have access to corrupt practices, but unfortunately, it is the system itself that is the best soil for officials to grow corrupt, so the system will be unable to restrain and stop it because it is its own hotbed of corruption. I ask, can this system shut down power? Can it shield officials from corruption? Of course not. There have been many changes of dynasties throughout Chinese history, but what were the results? The herbal soups changed, but the medicines did not. Individuals changed, but the system did not. The obvious result is that the toiling masses are still the toiling masses, and their toiling nature and destiny have been fundamentally unchanged. If you do not change the traditional production and life mode, then it is of no use to change the ones in charge. It is useless even if you adopt a separation of powers, such as in the United States if the president is Old Wang. The judiciary is run by his brother-in-law, the legislative power is under the control of his third aunt, and the media are controlled by his best friends. Toiling masses, use your heads. Would you have free and happy lives? Xiafeng-style communism is the only way to happiness for the toiling masses. The new oasis for life production and life mode, created by Life Genuine, is a paradise for everyone. Many poor people among the working people have fluky minds, and they always think that they can squeeze into the upper class and live the life of the best as they sharpen their heads. Yes, they have that chance. There have always been 1 or 2 people out of 10,000 who have achieved this wish, but the probability of success is much too low, and it is a path that very few common workers will ever take. There are also some commoners who think that since they have million yuan houses and cars worth several 100,000 yuan, that they no longer belong to that low level. In fact, they are self-anesthetized and daydreaming. If they cannot maintain control for 3 days, then their car is just a pile of scrap iron. If they do not have food for 3 days, their million yuan house is just a coat. If there is a major illness or disaster, their property and vehicles will not save them. There are even some poor toiling masses who think that since they have become civil servants with iron rice bowls, secure jobs, they feel that their futures are secure, but in fact that is just a temporary comfort for themselves, and when they get old, they will learn the feelings of life, the sour, sweet, bitter, hot, and salty tastes of life. In fact, Xiafeng-style communism is not only the road to happiness for the toiling masses, but also for capitalists and government officials, and the road for the cultivators to become celestials and Buddhas. The reason for this cannot be fully explained in a single article. If you have any doubts, please ask those who have lived and experienced Xiefeng-style communism. They can answer you. Remember this. Communism is the only way to happiness for the toiling masses and the only way out for mankind. Completing every little thing perfectly makes you extraordinary. Xiefeng, April 23, 2021. Edited by Qin Yu. As someone in their 60s, I have some life insights and experiences to share with young people, which will undoubtedly benefit you greatly. The most valuable insight and experience from my half-century of life is that by completing every little thing you do perfectly, you become an extraordinary individual, and your life path will only grow wider as you continue. What are the small things you should strive for perfection in? The answer is that every small thing you do each day should be worth doing perfectly. Here are some examples. When interacting with others, whether serving or cooperating with them, always make an earnest effort to bring joy and satisfaction to others. This is especially true when dealing with your superiors, elders, or those who excel in their careers. Let them know that you respect them and are willing to serve them. When performing tasks, never have even the slightest hint of complaints or half-heartedness. When collaborating with others, be willing to give more and enjoy less, making the experience comfortable and valuable for the other person. When interacting with your blood relatives, such as parents, children, siblings, and other relatives, or with your spouse, in-laws, and their relatives, do not focus on personal interests. Instead, give your utmost effort to do things well to the best of your ability. Never expect rewards. Simply express your best qualities and make everyone feel secure and comfortable when they are with you. Most young people will work for private employers or become government employees as civil servants. Regardless of the character of your boss or immediate superiors, regardless of your salary and other benefits, and regardless of whether the working environment satisfies you or not, you should strive to perform the tasks you are engaged in to the highest possible level. Never think that you are working for your boss or the country, or that your efforts are not worth it. Either quit and leave, or put your heart and soul into doing the job well. Whether in interpersonal relationships or in your work, always remember that there are one or several pairs of eyes constantly watching you. Even when you are alone, there are eyes watching. This is the secret I discovered after becoming a guide in Life Genuine. Moreover, be aware that the people watching you are not those of lower or equal level to you. They are always more advanced and outstanding than you. They are the ones who determine whether your future will be smooth. If you fail to do small things well, your path will become narrower as you go. But if you excel in every little thing, your path will widen as you move forward. Every word spoken and every action taken by a person is recorded in the detention information space. Even if tens of thousands of years pass or the Earth disappears, everything recorded in the detention information space will not disappear. Once a word is uttered or an action is taken, it is impossible to change it. Nowadays, the online world and platforms like WeChat provide a vast space for us to showcase our talents. However, we must be vigilant because every word we speak in the online world or in WeChat groups, etc., will influence our future. Every word and every action pave the way for our future. Speaking perfectly and doing every little thing perfectly paves the way to heaven, while speaking and acting in an ugly way paves the way to hell. As I said before, what information you input into the world determines what results the world will give you. Therefore, be cautious with every word you speak and put your heart and soul into completing every little thing perfectly. Every word we speak and every action we take fully reflects our inner world and life qualities. It is important to be aware that sometimes a single word we speak or a small thing we do can change the trajectory of someone's life. All the words we say and the things we do collectively shape the trajectory of our lives. Extraordinary lives are those who complete every little thing perfectly. Contrasting views on life success. Xiefeng. The erroneous life views passed down over thousands of years need to be corrected. Traditionally, it is believed that a successful life means earning a fortune, achieving high official positions, gaining fame, bringing honor to one's ancestors, and being admired by others. In Life Genuine, a successful life means living healthily, peacefully, smoothly, and satisfactorily throughout one's life. Always being happy, joyful, free, and blessed. In the past, We believe that in order to lead a happy, joyful, free, and blessed life, certain prerequisites were necessary. The primary condition was to possess wealth, assets, and a substantial material foundation. Simultaneously, one needed to stand out among others, making people around them admire, envy, and look up to them. How could one achieve all of this? Confucianism taught that in books, one can find houses of gold, and in books, one can find faces as fair as jade. To become an extraordinary individual, one had to study diligently and exhaustively. Only through excellence in education can one gain recognition and official positions. Only with fame and authority can one amass wealth, allowing them to accumulate great fortunes. In the Qing dynasty, a virtuous magistrate for 3 years, amassing 100,000 silver taels. Even if one chose the path of an honest official, they could still acquire a substantial sum. However, if someone was even slightly greedy, their earnings over 3 years would surpass 100,000 silvers. At that point, they could have whatever they desired. Whether they craved respect, beauty, or even supernatural favors. Nevertheless, does this represent a successful life? Even if it did, how many people could truly enjoy such a life of luxury? Thousands of troops and horses pass a single log bridge, but how many can make it across? Some fall off, get injured, or even drown in the river. Even if they all have managed to cross, they have grown old, their legs weaken, and by the time they reach middle or old age, their happy childhood has been drowned out by books, their beautiful youth gnawed away by books, and their blissful youthful years spent competing in the world of books. Is this what we call a successful life? I consider it the tragedy of life, a failure. After striving and toiling for most of their lives, what do they have to show for it? Not to mention middle age, even in old age, they haven't achieved the wealth, power, fame, gains, or carnal pleasures they idealized. What else can we call this but a failure in life? Therefore, the traditional concepts of success and failure in life are erroneous and must be corrected. Otherwise, the tragedy of life will continue. So, what is the path to a successful life? Childhood should be filled with joy. Youth should be filled with play, fun, and passions. Young adulthood should be filled with dreams and ideals. Middle age should be filled with diligent work. Old age should be filled with leisure and self-care. Reaching the end of life with no regrets, no hates, and no unfulfilled desires, being content and smiling even in the tomb, is an ideal and successful life because it aligns with the way of the greatest creator. Is it possible to achieve this? The answer is, undoubtedly. Where is this path? Answer: it can be found in the second home created by Life Genuine. Current crises faced by humanity. Xiefeng. Translated by Tsong Long. The crises faced by humanity has been long-standing. There had been warnings in Bible, Quran, and the Book of Earth Mother of Buddhism. In recent 20 years, many scientists, ideologists, and spiritual leaders have all sensed the crises faced by humanity are getting more and more serious. They can be summarized as follows: water resource shortages and pollution, food shortages, rapid population growth, air pollution, widespread of strong virus, leakage of nuclear facilities, desertification, endangered species, ecological imbalance, greenhouse effect, ozone depletion, competition of nuclear weapons, etc. There are also some people have foreseen the culture crisis, ethic crisis, and belief crisis. All the above crises are only the crises on surface, and they are not the core crisis. The core crisis faced by humanity is the crisis of the soul. All the above crises result from the crisis of the soul. If we only focus on the superficial but ignore the core, it is impossible to resolve them. The crises will become even more severe, which would end up with humanity extinction and earth destruction. Only very few enlightened people can sense some other crises like race extinction and religious virus. Others, like the crisis of disappearance of a city in one night, and a beam of wave causing the death of billions of people in a few minutes, will definitely not be understood and conceived by ordinary people. The core crisis of humanity is the crisis of the soul. Humans can hear, listen, smell, taste, and sense spiritually because they have eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and consciousness. However, Humans are losing spiritual sense. The results of failing to have spiritual sense are not able to feel the existence of the greatest creator, not able to feel the existence of the God, Buddha, or celestials, not able to feel the existence of 36-dimensional spaces, not able to feel the existence of the non-material and negative universe, do not understand the concept of horizontal time, too much trust on scientific findings, and atheism becomes popular. Do not believe the law of cause and effect. Do not realize the magic of consciousness. Do not believe reincarnation. Self-centered and arrogant. If a man loses the spiritual sense, he loses spirituality, and as a result, he will not be able to have a perfect human nature. His thoughts are prisoned in three-dimensional space. Does not acknowledge the regularity and certainties. Does not believe the law of cause and effect. Does not believe reincarnation. Believe the theory of evolution, law of jungle, and survival of the fittest. Only value short-term interests and ignore long-term consequences. Rotten morals and falling humanity. Lack of gratitude. A man who loses spiritual sense will be just like a black hole, only absorb stuff in but never contribute. Moreover, he is like a virus, which only does destruction to the surrounding environment. The above statements have shown that the core crisis of human being is the crisis of soul, and it is the root cause of why one cannot have a happy and free life. His thoughts are prisoned in three-dimensional space. He believes that Earth is the only habitat for human beings, and completely denies the existence of other spaces, and regards any other doctrines or theories he is not able to understand as superstitions or fallacies, and blocks the way for human beings to pursue other higher dimensional spaces. Does not acknowledge the regularity and certainties. He sees many phenomena as accidents and doesn't realize that all natural disasters are caused by unconsciousness. Does not believe the law of cause and effect. He attaches too much weight on win and loss, uses any means to achieve the goal, and ignores the effects that will cause in later lifetimes. Does not believe reincarnation. He thinks that death is the end of life. So does anything as she pleases without conscience, and regards fame, wealth, and power as the symbols of a successful life. Apply the theory of evolution in human society. Believe law of jungle, survival of the fittest. He stops nothing to achieve his goal, which may include making miseries to other people, polluting rivers, bullying the kind, lying, and deceiving. Only value short-term interests and ignore long-term consequences. Use competition as primary means to promote social development, therefore, making nuclear and biological weapons, frantically developing heavy industries that damage environment, predatory exploitation of resources, and treating all people as potential rivals or enemies. Rotten morals and falling humanity. He does not respect God, Buddha, saints, and sages, and does not respect his teacher, father, and brother. He is violent, used to cheat, and not shameful of his behaviors. Lying, bullying the weak, abusing women, killing people. He does all evils. Just like what described in the ancient Chinese book Tractate of the Most High One on Actions and Consequences, Tai Sangan Ying Pan. The crimes of the wicked. Sometimes there is someone who behaves without righteousness and moves against rationality, who defrauds ignorant and naive people, vilifies one's schoolmates, employs lies, fraud, espionage, plots, sting operations, and entrapment against others, who slanders and criticizes one's extended and immediate family members maliciously, who is cruel, irrational, and self-willed, who oppresses those below him and claims their merit for himself, but cringes before those above him to win their favor, who has no feeling for favors received, but harbors endless resentment, who rewards those irrelevant with righteousness, but punishes the innocent, who slays people to take their wealth and overthrows people to occupy their positions, who slays captives and slaughters those who surrender, who denigrates the righteous and expels the wise, who wrongs orphans and coerces widows, who ignores the law and receives bribes, who takes the straight as crooked and the crooked as straight, who knowing his faults does not correct them, and knowing the good does not do it, who prays for people's misfortunes, wishes people to encounter disaster, destroys people's success, sullies people's innocence, pilfers people's harvests, masks people's good and kind deeds, and who generate hatred and resentment if desires are not fulfilled, etc. A moral person with spirituality knows he should revere the greatest creator and walk on the way of the greatest creators, and is aware of his weakness as a human, so he will not be arrogant. He realizes he should cultivate himself, and knows he needs to take care of, cherish, respect, and love Mother Nature, its resources, and all life beings. He will never leave the wastewater of factories, mines, hospitals, and cities to rivers, streams, and lands. He will never hunt and eat the meat of wild animals. He will never destroy forests, mountains, and grasslands. He will never indulge in power, money, beauty, and let his greed expand, not even use any means to satisfy his evil desires. He will never use his power to serve his own or his family's interests, nor bully or suppress others. He will never sell fake or shoddy goods. He will never steal other person's research findings to gain fame for himself. He will never make life-threatening nuclear weapons and biological weapons. He will never provoke conflicts among people to profit from it. He will never suppress any new ideas, new cultures, or new values. Lack of gratitude. In his heart, there is no place for the greatest creator, gods, parents, elders, the society, other people. He only demands and is not willing to give. Even a plant bears fruits as long as we water and fertilize it. A chicken produces eggs as long as we feed it. A dog will be a good safeguard of our home as long as it has been taken good care. A man who loses spiritual sense will be just like a black hole, only absorb stuff in but never contribute. Moreover, he is like a virus, which only does destruction to the surrounding environment. The above statements have shown that the core crisis of human being is the crisis of soul, and it is the root cause of why one cannot have a happy and free life. If we look Earth from a height of 1,000 meters and focus on the cities of the world, we will find the survival situation of human beings is just like a group of ants on a hot pot, running around hastily. You don't know where these ants are going to. They just follow their senses with no purposes. They move quickly all together once they spot an animal corpse or a drop of oil. They follow where the trend is. If you ask one of the ants, "Why are you so busy every day? Where do you rush for?" His answer will be, "I'm looking for something to eat, drink, and a place to live. As for where to go, I will go wherever I can find food, drinks, and a place to live." The secular world is just like an animal world. Some people stand themselves out, but where do they go after they get out? They go to religions. All religions, whether it is good or evil, they are made of people who have spiritual pursuit. A real disciple of any religion is superior, in spiritual aspect, to any kings or great men. So we can say, all people in secular world are sleeping and people in religion are awake. The formers do not have spiritual direction as the latters do. However, with the development of science and the growth of human wisdom, many people in religion start to confuse and are not able to tell the direction. Many disciples are like gamblers. They stake all their energy and wisdom on the religion they belong to. Although they know that they can't win back what they have lost, they want to keep gambling. They even want to persuade others to gamble with them to feel psychologically balanced. Just like the fox that has lost his frozen tail on the ice, he has lost the tail. He has been laughed at and left alone by other foxes. He also knows that he doesn't look good without a tail, but in order to comfort himself, he tries to persuade others that a fox without a tail is the most beautiful fox, and others are all fools if they don't cut their tails. People always have an illusion. They think truth lies where the crowds are. Otherwise, why so many people go there? People always have an illusion. They think those religions or organizations that are strong and powerful can point to a place with real happiness. Otherwise, how it can grow so big? People always have an illusion. They think wherever celebrities or intellectuals go must have a promising future, because these smart men will not go for and praise something blindly. However, when they are out, they want to get in. Once they get in, accept bewilderment, blindly following, and some shackles they put on themselves, the only thing left they can do is waiting and hoping with a fluke mind. What are they hoping for? 8 characteristics of the communist community, the second home created by Life Chanuan. Xiefeng, February 27, 2013. Translation edited by Qin Yu. The Communist Community, the Second Home, created by Life Chanuan, has been in existence for nearly 4 years and has now entered a stable and harmonious phase. Although it is not yet perfect, it is approaching the ideal state of life that humanity has dreamt of for thousands of years. This is humanity's blessing and the hope for its development. The establishment of the communist community, the Second Home, is inspired by the teachings of Jesus Christ, Buddha Sakyamuni, the sage Laozi, Prophet Muhammad, and the wisdom of sages throughout history. It is from the description of ancient Greek philosophers like Plato and the Chinese sage Confucius. It is rooted in the thoughts of the founders and pioneers of communist ideology such as Marx, Engels, Lenin, and Mao Zedong. It is also influenced by the ideals of utopian socialist thinkers and practitioners like Owen, Saint-Simon, and Fourier. Furthermore, it originates from the desires of the hardworking, kind, simple, sincere, and trustworthy masses. It represents the culmination of over 2,000 years of human experiments with utopian communities. Today, all of this is not only put into practice but has also succeeded. The success of the communist community, the Second Home, is not accidental. It is the crystallization of the thoughts of all human sages, the result of countless Communist Party members dedicating their lives to it. The road to this success is paved with blood, tears, humiliation, and hardship. Today, the hard work of our predecessors has blossomed into beautiful flowers. We should cherish it and protect it with our lives. Summarizing our thoughts and experiences, the current communist community, the Second Home, possesses the following 8 characteristics. Taking the way of the greatest creator and implementing holographic management. The way of the greatest creator, also known as the way of nature, is our guiding principle. We always follow the principles of nature. It is also the scientific approach to development. Holographic management means no management because the highest form of management is non-management. Everything follows the principles of nature, and our management is entirely human-centered. This is why you won't find any leaders, offices, or managers in our community. Everyone is a manager, and everyone is a master of the community. There are no hierarchies or ranks. Everyone is equal, possessing nothing yet owning everything. Members who join the communist community, the Second Home, have nothing to call their own. Personal belongings and money are no longer private. Everything belongs to the community. Each person can enjoy everything the community has to offer as needed, without extravagance or waste. Everyone working to the best of their abilities, asking for and taking only what they need. Everyone has different abilities and strengths. In the Second Home, as long as each member puts in their best effort every day and does the work they are capable of, it is enough. We do not require uniformity, and no one is forced to do tasks beyond their capabilities. Everyone's needs are met without any allocation issues. Having no marriages or nuclear families. Marriage and families are the breeding grounds for selfishness, sources of distress and pain, and the root causes of endless resource exploitation and waste. Therefore, there is no marriage or families in the communist community, the Second Home. The young being well educated and the old being looked after properly. All aspects of a member's life, including food, clothing, shelter, transportation, and healthcare from birth to death, are taken care of by the community. The elderly are looked after by the community, and the children are raised and educated by the community. Parents no longer worry about their children, and children no longer worry about their parents. Politics and religion are not practiced. The communist community, the Second Home, refrains from engaging in any political activities or participating in any religious rituals. All our activities are guided by the principles of nature. We do not practice idol worship, nor do we celebrate holidays or perform rituals with political or religious connotations. We cherish nature and strive to protect insects, birds, animals, and the environment. All members engaging in physical labor regardless their backgrounds. Once someone enters the communist community, the Second Home, everyone is equal. There are no hierarchies, and we don't care about a person's background. Whether you are a PhD or illiterate, rich or poor, scholar or shepherd, high-ranking official or commoner, male or female, white or black, everyone becomes a laborer. Regardless of one's background, we only value the present moment. Being flexible, acting tactfully, and bending according to the situation. The community operates on the principle of least resistance, where all affairs should be handled flexibly in accordance with the principle of keep the main but change the others according to the situation. Dharma sets no rules. It is ever-changing. In order to enrich our cultural life, enhance our inner quality, and cultivate a love for life, a love for living, and a love for life, our residence is frequently changing, work shifts as needed, personnel are constantly changing, and recreational and gaming activities are ever evolving. This keeps our community in a state of constant change, making it impossible for two people to stay together for an extended period. Everyone is always in a novel environment. This approach prevents the maximization of entropy, thus preventing stagnation. It stimulates everyone's interests and thinking abilities. This approach also prevents the formation of cliques and warlordism, ensuring the eventual formation of a harmonious global family. These 8 characteristics are the distinctive markers that set the second home apart from other societal production and living methods. In addition to these, the communist community has many other characteristics. For instance, we do not celebrate birthdays, avoid one-on-one romantic relationships, build the environment into a model of ecological civilization, creating an idyllic living environment, eschew personal worship, speak the truth as it is, have specialized and responsible division of labor in all tasks, allowing people to freely choose work according to their strengths and interests, avoid complaining and sharing grievances, refrain from discussing others' personal matters and privacy, avoid comparisons, maintain transparency in all matters, abstain from mystical or secretive practices, and more. We have paved a sunny path for humanity in the communist community, the second home. We have essentially achieved a state where everyone is happy, joyful, free, and blessed. The secret to elevating life to the realms of heaven, becoming celestial and Buddha, lies here. 8 invisible external factors influencing our lives. Xiefeng. May 9th, 2020. Translated by Q and edited by Care. We should be aware of these 8 mysterious and invisible factors that influence our lives. Feng Shui, geomantic omens, gods and deities, grievances and curses of others, ancestral virtues and sins, solar radiation, socio-ecological environments, destiny trajectories, mathematics. Let us examine each one of them in greater detail. Feng Shui mainly refers to one's geographical and atmospheric environments, the veins flowing underground, the humidity or dryness of the climate, whether the air is fresh and its flow is smooth and unobstructed, whether there is sufficient light and the geomagnetic field is comfortable and pleasant, as well as the water quality and the chemical elements contained within and whether it is alkaline or acidic, and so on. It is really not easy to find a perfect geomantic omen place. The best way to avoid long-term damage to yourself by certain unfavorable factors is to change your living space often. Most chronic diseases are caused by Feng Shui, and they can be cured after changing one's environment. For example, if people with arthritis who live in humid areas can relocate themselves to places with drier humidities for 3 to 5 years, their arthritis can heal completely. People in my hometown in the 1,000-year world never get sick for many reasons, but one of them is that people change their living environments often. This is why I emphasize that Life-Genuine Celestials must move to another home every 3 years. When there are 256 homes, new oasis for life, on the earth, it will be hard to get sick for a lifetime if you relocate yourself every 3 years. Affection of gods and deities. Everything has spirituality. What we call heaven gods, mountain gods, water gods, earth gods, and so forth are actual gods and deities, and if we worship them in our hearts, then we will have no bad luck. For example, if you want to climb a mountain, pray to it and ask its God for protection, and you will not fall or injure yourself during your climb. If you pray to a river god or deity when crossing its river, then you will cross it safely. If you soothe and comfort the trees, flowers, insects, birds, and beasts where you live, then you will face no misfortune. Other people's grievances and curses are very harmful to life. If you do not believe me, then you should live among people who are full of grievances. It will not only make people lose their fighting spirits, courage, and confidence in their pursuit of better lives, but it will also cause people to become depressed, get sick, and have nightmares. Curses are even more powerful. They are silent harm from their hearts and invisible thought powers. It is also a curse to secretly cut a ground vein or manipulate an ancestor's grave. Curses will lead to the declines and extinctions of families and nations. They will even lead to sudden disasters, so it is best to remain cognizant. Ancestral virtue and sin karma have great impacts on life. An ancestor's virtuous karma can help their descendants to flourish and prosper, but their sin karma can lead them to wither and decline. Therefore, whether our lives are smooth or full of ups and downs, we must consult whether the karma that our ancestors created for us is virtuous or sinful. After learning the answer, we can find a way to remedy it. Otherwise, the trajectory of our lives will not change. Solar radiation. People whose ancestors lived in or near the tropics tend to have darker skin, while those whose ancestors lived closer to either of Earth's poles have lighter skin. This is caused by the amount of ultraviolet solar radiation that is present. We need to be exposed to the right amount for proper vitamin D production, neither too much nor too little. The amount varies with our latitude, and we can often change it to alleviate the damage of insufficient or excess ultraviolet solar radiation. The socio-ecological environment is crucial to the formation of human personalities and consciousnesses. It includes factors such as culture, beliefs, conventions, customs, overall values, and the outlooks on life, and the universe. If you are enclosed in a bad socio-ecological environment for a long time, you will become incapable of distinguishing fragrance from stench. It will be hard for you to know that there are mountains beyond mountains and skies above skies, and you will live very ignorantly. The trajectory of fate is an invisible binding force created by people's previous lives' merits and demerits, as well as an invisible manipulating force. The 18 unmanageable factors of life are an invisible arrangement of the trajectory of fate. Why am I so lucky or unlucky? Why have I met such a noble or unreasonable person? And other such questions are established arrangements along the trajectory of fate. To change that, to resolve or continue your trajectory of fate, you must self-cultivate and self-refine. The influence of mathematics is mysterious. Symmetry and proportion are very important. To be symmetrical and proportional, you must work hard on the math. The figure of the golden section looks beautiful, and this is caused by perfect symmetry and the most appropriate proportions. Symmetry and proportion must follow math strictly. Math is the principle of numbers. The more symmetrical things are, the longer their lifespans, and the more symmetrical a life is, the healthier it is. Once the math falls out of balance, a life will quickly decay and die, and it also becomes easier to suffer from nature. Therefore, how high a house should be, how big its doors and windows should be, how far or close it should be to the neighbor's house, how many sets of clothes and shoes should be stored in its closets, how high its tables, stoves, and windows should be, on which dates you can go out for trips or important meetings should be held, on which date the construction of the house should be started, how many plates, forks, and chopsticks should a family have, how big your house should be, and so on, are all in the math. If the math is suitable, then everything will go well, but if it is not, then everything will go against your will. There are 64 factors that affect people. The permutations and combinations of them are astronomical figures. As a person, it is hard to attend to one thing without neglecting another. The simplest method available is to follow the way of the greatest creator, the path of life Changyuan. 8 Truths by Which to Lead a Life. Xiefeng. Edited by Care. Living in this world, we need to understand why we do and how we should, or we will live an unclear and muddled life. For every road on the trip ahead, there must be a destination, and different ways of living will ultimately afford us different views and lead us to different destinations. As a messenger of the greatest creator, the incarnation of gods, Buddha, celestial beings, saints, and the guide for human spirits and souls, I propose the following 8 truths by which to live. Please examine and consider them, and choose whether they make sense and whether they can benefit you. Rivers have sources and trees have roots. People have parents and celestial beings have ancestors. Everything has its origin, and all effects have their causes. Rivers will run dry without sources, trees will wither without roots, people will scatter without parents, and celestial beings will fall without ancestors. Therefore, in living a life, we have to connect our souls to their source to be clear and to gain eternity. The source of everything is the greatest creator, and we, our lives within our life, should always keep the greatest creator in mind and live in accordance with the will of the greatest creator. In this way, our life can reach a wonderful destination in the end. Life is a short journey of life in the mortal world which begins when we are born and ends when we die. You were there before you were born and will still be there after you die. Birth and death are only life phenomena, and not the beginning and end of life. So it is very important to learn from where you came and to where you are going. The mortal world is a transition between different levels and different types of life. Passengers traveling in all directions will transit through this mortal world and stay for periods of time, whether they will ultimately ascend or descend. Therefore, the mortal world is populated with all levels and all types of life. Gods, Buddha, celestial beings, saints, goblins, devils, ghosts, monsters, and demons all exist in the mortal world, and as such, anyone's life trip can be misdirected by only slight miscalculations. We must therefore sharpen our eyes and be weary of the negative influences in life. Everything in this world exists within the unity of opposites, and the result of it is always neutral. That is, the amount of positive and negative energy in the universe is always equal. What you have paid and what you have gained are always equal. This means that what one gets and what they give within a lifetime are equal. If you gain more, you must pay more. And if you pay more, you will gain more. If someone pays a lot in their life stage but gains little, then their extra payout will await them in the bank of heaven. But if one gains more than they pay in this life stage, then they will owe a debt which must be and can be paid off in many different ways, such as becoming a cow or a horse in the next life, or becoming a chicken or pig and being slaughtered and eaten, or working for others, or even falling into the lowest space of life and having to withstand great stress, pain, and hardship. Therefore, we should try our best to pay more and gain less in this stage of life, because no one can enjoy more than enough blessing, and they must know when to stop. We can become enlightened from nature. That is, each life needs to live to its fullest and live itself out. Only thusly can this world be colorful and wondrous. Therefore, everyone has to live out their own innate nature by living for their own well-being first. It is only when people live well that they can be beneficial to their loved ones and others. If they do not live for their own well-being, then they will bring endless pain and trouble to everyone and become burdens and loads. For instance, some parents live bitter lives and often cannot meet their basic life necessities such as birth, illness, retirement, and death, so they can never bring blessings to their children. We often hear parents say, "My child, I have suffered through a bitter life all for my child." This attitude is an excuse for their bad life because they want to transfer their pain to their children and make those children suffer guilty consciences for their parents' deprivation. Consequently, not only does the parent deprive themselves, but then they guilt-trip their child. This kind of outlook on life is incisively manifested by married couples when the husband and wife each believe that they have sacrificed for the other and that the other owes them. As a result, both suffer and neither lives out their Tathagata nature. In short, one has to live for their own sake and their own well-being, because anyone who lives for others will not only spoil their own life, but will also inflict heavy psychological burdens and spiritual bondage upon others. What is there for people to live for? It is to live for their innate natures, for their gifted natures, to live happy, joyful, free, and blessed lives, and to leave no regrets, remorse, resentment, or sorry at the end. To do this, one cannot live for power, wealth, fame, beauty, vanity, religion, political party, state, nationality, family, or others. They must not try to possess or control anything or anyone, but must accept them as they are and associate with others by following predestined relationships, to act in accordance with their natures, and to take advantage of opportunities as they arise. They must deliver their lives into the hands of the greatest creator through the arrangements of Tao. Everything physical is a game, but only the soul is true and worthy. Do not be too serious or persistent on anything. Go for it if it pleases and uplifts, but forget it if it hurts or degrades. People will die and fields will become lakes, and that which we are so serious and persistent about, or which troubles us now, will eventually vanish from our consciousnesses. Why bother? Everything in life runs in Tao. Everything is karma. The Lord is everywhere. You reap what you sow. Divine punishments, though slow, are always true with big meshes, letting nothing slip through. Therefore, we must lead honorable and upright lives which are centered on sincerity, kindness, beauty, love, faith, and honesty. No one should be stealthy or talk about spirits, deities, fortunes, or disasters. A good conscience knows no fear. Whatever one thinks, speaks, and does should be faithful to the earth, the sky, others, and society, and to their own consciences. In this way, their life journey will become smoother and more comfortable as time goes on. Their life's future will also be smoother and more beautiful. Just do ordinary, simple things within the capacity of your lifetime. Be content to be ordinary and do not pursue the extraordinary. Settle on doing more small things and avoid attempting big things. Learn how to enjoy the unknowingly quiet life and avoid being the target of the known and the noisy. 1,000 miles can be covered by constant small steps, and rivers and seas are filled where small streams gather. We should always direct our efforts toward laying this kind of foundation. In this way, with persistence over time, the most ideal life will appear, and the most beautiful dreams will come true. These 8 life truths are only my perceptions and are only fit for a small minority. Accordingly, the majority of people are unable to accept them. If you think they make sense, then use them as references. If you think they do not make sense, then find your own ways. We do not discuss, debate, or argue. Envisioning the reconstruction of human values and production life order. Xiefeng. January 16, 2015. Translation edited by Qin Yu. The history of human society has been a tale of suffering and tears. 95% of the people who have lived on this planet, both in the past and today, have experienced distress, pain, sorrow, anxiety, and fear. This is clear evidence that the previous human value systems and the order of production and life have had issues. It is now time for all of humanity to ponder whether we can rebuild human values and the order of life. Below are my thoughts, intended to stimulate thinking and serve as a reference. The United Nations Secretary-General should act as the global president, and the United Nations Charter should replace the individual constitutions of nations. National borders should disappear, allowing people to move freely worldwide, promoting the fusion of cultures and nations. The global president must be unmarried, without a family or children. Political parties are the result of a struggle for interests. Political parties should gradually exit the stage of history. Religion has caused confusion in people's thinking and restrained mental liberation. Religion should gradually vanish. Globally, a universal belief system based on reverence for the greatest creator should be established, replacing the theory of evolution with the concept of creation. Serving others, society, and nature should be the core values for human existence. Building the soul garden should take precedence over economic development. All schools, from primary to university level, should include 2 additional courses: education on being human and education on human-nature relations. Set aside all disputes, relinquish all grudges, grant amnesty to 75% of criminals, and significantly reduce military expenditures. Measure the effectiveness of rulers based on the happiness of the people. The traditional model of marriage and family life is a breeding ground for selfishness and troubles. A new model of life should replace the traditional one. All global affairs, including those of small social groups, must be entirely transparent, suppressing any secretive activities. Regional administrative officials should be appointed by the United Nations, not elected locally. For instance, Putin could be appointed as the administrative official for North America, Obama for the Middle East, and Xi Jinping for the European Union. Thinking beyond the ordinary, only with unconventional thinking can the divine open possibilities. Only extraordinary thinking can illuminate a path for humanity and bring about world peace and happiness for all. Is it challenging? Not really. Human wisdom is more than enough to overcome any challenges and realize the beautiful ideals that humanity has longed for. To implement this grand vision, I already have a concrete plan. This plan will not lead to chaos in the world. On the contrary, it will lead to a well-organized transition. Hating the wealthy will lead to poverty. Xiefeng, philosophy tells us that the principle of unity of opposites is universal in the universe. For everything, there exists something that is its opposite. If there is an up, there must be a down. If there is beauty, there must be ugliness. If there is wealth, there must be poverty, and so on. This existence of opposites is not only reflected in the external world, but also within ourselves. It means that within the same person, there can also be opposing aspects. For example, if you dislike wearing clothes, then you can only be naked. If you dislike the truth, you can only live in falsehood. If you dislike men, you can only become a woman. Therefore, if you hate the wealthy, you will inevitably head towards poverty. From this, we discover a pattern. Things tend to move towards their despised opposite. Based on this pattern, we can draw the following conclusions. If you hate heaven, you will move towards its opposite, hell. If you hate hell, you will move towards its opposite, heaven. If you despise landlords, capitalists, and the wealthy, then you will move towards being a poor farmer, a wage laborer, or a beggar. If you despise violence, you will move towards peace. Likewise, if you despise peace, you will move towards violence. If a country eliminates all the rich people, that country will inevitably move towards poverty. If a country despises civilization, it will move towards ignorance and backwardness. If all members of a nation respect, admire, and protect the wealthy, that nation will move towards prosperity and strength. On the contrary, if everyone discriminates against, insults, and suppresses the wealthy, that nation will move towards poverty, backwardness, and weakness. Likewise, if a nation, a country, despises nations and countries that are wealthier and more civilized than itself, that nation and country will inevitably move towards poverty, isolation, backwardness, ignorance, and barbarism. From this, we can draw another conclusion. You will move towards what you like. If you like cleanliness and tidiness, you will get rid of filth and messiness. If you like wealth, you will overcome poverty. If you like saints, you will transcend being a laity or mortal. If you like freedom, you will break free from the shackles of slavery. If you like heaven, you will escape the engulfment of hell. Our reality is created by our consciousness. A consciousness of poverty can only create a reality of poverty, and only a consciousness of wealth can create a life of abundance. Just look at Israel and Japan, and then look at Zimbabwe and Venezuela. The logic is evident. Do you want to live in heaven? If so, you must first have the consciousness of heaven. How can you have the consciousness of heaven? Take a look at my descriptions of the 1,000-year world, 10,000-year world, and the Elysium Celestial Islands continent. With those descriptions, you can have the consciousness of heaven. If you don't believe in my description of heaven, then look at the production and living scenes in the real second home on earth. They can also nurture the consciousness of heaven. Without the consciousness of heaven, no matter how much you practice or strive, you will never reach heaven. In conclusion, hating the wealthy will lead to poverty. Consciousness determines one's present situation and future. Here, corruption, malfeasance, kidnapping, extortion, drug use, and gambling have been eradicated. Dayform Buddha. Number 10, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. On the beautiful and diverse blue planet Earth, there is a place that can be called a paradise on Earth. Children here will not get lost, let alone be abducted. The elderly does not have pensions, yet they can enjoy their later years in peace. Young people do not worry about buying houses because there are homes available, and they are never afraid of unemployment as there will always be jobs. Middle-aged individuals do not need to consider buying cars because there are people to provide transportation. Children can go to school without their parents spending a dime, ensuring comprehensive and healthy development of their morality, intelligence, physique, spirit, and mind. Women are respected everywhere and completely freed from the burden of household chores. Even if penniless, they will receive meticulous medical treatment if they fall ill. Gambling has been eradicated here. No one engages in gambling, as there is no market for it. Drug use has been eradicated here. No one takes drugs, and external drug dealers have no way to bring drugs here for sale. No one steals here because there is nowhere to hide or place stolen goods. Kidnapping and extortion simply do not occur because there are no targets to be kidnapped. What would one extort? Not even a drop of oil. The ugly phenomenon of rape cannot happen here. It is unnecessary and, more importantly, people are too afraid of the severe consequences. Official corruption, bribery, and malfeasance have been eradicated because there are no officials, and no one will offer bribes. There is no soil for corruption to take root. This place is the second home, a new mode of human production and life that has been built and successfully operated for 13 years by Xie Feng, the guide of Life Chanuan, along with a little over 2,000 Chanyuan celestials. How to break free from mental fallacies, Part 1. Xie Feng. Those who focus on the outcome of life are the most unfortunate, while those who enjoy the present are the most carefree. Many people tend to weigh the pros and cons, look ahead, and consider all the possible obstacles and difficulties before making plans or decisions. I want to say that this is a mental fallacy and a mindset that leads to a pessimistic life. For example, if a couple planning to get married knows that they will divorce 10 years later, they might choose not to get married at all, and even if they do get married, their days will not be as sweet. On the other hand, if they are unaware of the future divorce, they can experience a period of sweetness and enjoy a wonderful time during their love and marriage. Suppose Life Chanuan had informed all the Chanyuan celestials before creating the second home that no matter how many communities we build, they will eventually be destroyed by the government. In that case, would Chanyuan celestials still have the enthusiasm and passion to create numerous communities? Would they still put meticulous effort into building beautiful and magnificent communities? Of course not. If the results were not revealed in advance, Chanyuan celestials would wholeheartedly and passionately create communities, even if they were eventually destroyed. What would be the significance in that? Now I ask, are there any Chanyuan celestials who regretted their decision to participate in the creation of communities? I speculate that there isn't a single one. Why is that? It's because we have experienced a way of life that 99% of humanity has never experienced during the process of creating communities. Through first-hand experience, we have come to know the existence of the 1,000-year world, and from there, we can deduce the existence of the 10,000-year world and the Elysium Celestial Islands continent. At the same time, we have experienced true happiness, joy, freedom, and bliss. As a result, our vision has expanded, our mindset has grown, our state of being has elevated, and our understanding of the current state of human society has deepened. Most importantly, our consciousness has transformed from human consciousness to celestial consciousness. This is a leap in life, a transformation, and an adventure on the glorious journey of life. Therefore, I speculate that no Chanyuan celestial regrets immersing themselves in the life of creating communities. Therefore, we come to a thinking conclusion. Engage in life, engage in creation, but do not dwell on the difficulties that may arise during the process, and do not ponder over the outcome, because the outcome is within the process itself. If the process is beautiful, life will be more meaningful, and the result of life is bound to be beautiful. So, do not pursue the outcome of life, for the outcome of life is death. What we pursue is the result of life. When life is elevated, no matter how the process of life unfolds, it will be meaningful and valuable. Even if the government repeatedly destroys the communities we have built, we have already obtained what we were meant to obtain and will never regret it. Look at the historical figures. The outcomes of their lives are almost always unfortunate. Knowing that life can be unfortunate, yet people in the present still passionately strive, struggle, worry, suffer, laugh, and cry. This grand drama of life on the stage continues to play out without any novelty. Those who understand this truth live extraordinary, romantic, carefree lives, while those who do not understand this truth not only lead unfortunate lives, but also face even more unfortunate outcomes in life. This is called awakening, also known as enlightenment. How to break free from mental fallacies, Part 2. Xie Feng. Life shines in attachment, while life perishes in attachment. Merging life and life into one is a mental fallacy in life. Life is merely a brief moment in the journey of life, But the unfolding of this fleeting moment determines the scenery of the next journey. Due to the lack of understanding about the mysteries of life and time, people mistakenly take life as the entirety and ultimate meaning of life. Consequently, they perform tragic dramas on the stage of life. The material world is the manifestation of the non-material world, and life is but a manifestation of life. When people are captivated by the appearance of the material world and become attached to the pursuit of material wealth, status, and fame, they miss the opportunity to uplift life and, in turn, sow the seeds of negative consequences. When a fish freely roams in rivers, lakes, and seas and discovers delicious bait, it rushes up and swallows it in one gulp, losing its freedom and becoming a meal on the angler's chopping board. Similarly, when people relentlessly strive for material wealth, power, status, and honor, and eventually satisfy their desires, they are like fish that have swallowed the bait without realizing it, indulging in self-satisfaction. However, they have already become the meat on the devil's chopping board. Not to mention historical and foreign figures, let's take a look at the individuals in modern and contemporary China who have gained fame in the fields of wealth, power, and honor. Aren't they all fish that have swallowed the bait? Now, look at ordinary people. How many of them have been or are still madly devouring the bait like fish? To make one's life brilliant, one must be attached. Attached to making money, gaining power, achieving status, acquiring fame. One can also be attached to one's marriage and family, nation and country, political parties and religions, ideologies, truths, and ideals. As long as there is attachment, life can move towards brilliance. However, when one is attached to something or a certain belief, the flower of life withers, heading towards exhaustion and decline. Consider a couple deeply in love. When they cannot bear to be apart, feeling like the world would collapse without each other, and believing that life has no meaning without their partner. He wants only to marry her, and she wants only to marry him. This is called attachment. This kind of attachment brings about a deeply romantic and sweet period in their lives, reaching the pinnacle of a passionate love affair. However, as time passes and the erosion of daily life begins, they gradually realize that their attachment has become a binding rope. The longer this feeling persists, the stronger it becomes. Because of excessive attachment, they neglect all the other scenery along the way. By the time they grow old, they realize that they have missed countless opportunities to appreciate breathtaking scenery. Beneath their smiling faces lies a sense of helplessness and endless lamentation. An old man descending from a mountain tells young people who are excitedly climbing up, "There is nothing worth seeing at the mountaintop. The view is even better down below." Of course, the young people do not believe him and think, "This old man just doesn't know how to appreciate the scenery." So, they keep climbing, eventually reaching the mountaintop, but also growing old. And what do they find? The old man was right all along. There really isn't anything worth seeing at the mountaintop. Consequently, one by one, these people who were once young and climbed mountains start descending. As they see the younger generation climbing with excitement, they tell them, "There is nothing worth seeing at the mountaintop. The view is even better down below." However, how could the young people believe the words of the old folks? Thus, this story of climbing the mountain continues to unfold from the distant past to the present and will continue into the distant future. In the end, we will discover that especially serious people will die due to their seriousness, and especially attached individuals will die due to their attachments. Nutritionists will die due to nutrition. Excessively clean people will die due to cleanliness. Those desperately seeking longevity will die prematurely in pursuit of longevity. Those who aspire for political power will die due to political power. Those pursuing wealth will die due to wealth. And those scheming to attain power will die due to power. The list goes on. So, where is the best path in life? Take things as they are, associate with others by following naturally come-and-go relations, act in accordance with one's intrinsic nature, and take advantage of opportunities as they arise. Let go of attachment. This is the best path in life, and it also aligns with the path of the sublimation of life. Breaking free from mental fallacies. Part 3. Jiefeng. Life is enriched through possession, while life withers through possession. When people travel by train, they buy a ticket, enter the station, board the train, travel for a distance, disembark, and exit the station. simple, and effortless. Rarely does a passenger want to buy and possess the train they are traveling on, nor do they wish to stay on the train indefinitely. Why don't passengers want to buy and possess the train? Because it is unnecessary and ownership would become a burden. Likewise, people do not desire to possess commercial airplanes or large cruise ships because they are merely using them for one journey. Perhaps they will only use them once in a lifetime. So why invest time, energy, and money to own them? However, the fallacy lies in the fact that despite knowing we are merely traveling through this earthly realm for a short period, where everything on earth is not worth possessing and even if possessed, it will eventually have to be relinquished, why have humans tirelessly racked their brains over what to possess? Why are they even willing to pay the price of their own and others' lives to possess illusory dreams along their journeys? Let's assume we have 1 million in cash. Is it better to use that 1 million to buy a house, or to temporarily rent someone else's house and use the remaining money for other purposes? For example, renting a house for 1 year with a rental payment of 20,000 yuan. Renting for 50 years would amount to 1 million yuan. From the perspective of life, buying seems better, providing a sense of security and becoming capital to flaunt to others. However, from the perspective of life's meaning, renting is, of course, better because by paying 20,000 yuan annually, one would still have plenty of money left to invest in other fields. This investment may generate more wealth, not only enough to pay the annual rent of 20,000 yuan, but also leave a surplus. In other words, after 50 years, one would still have 1 million yuan in hand, while buying the house outright would leave one penniless. Some may argue that buying a house preserves its value, while money in hand may depreciate due to inflation. However, this is also a fallacy. Houses depreciate every year and may even collapse, while money in hand has the possibility of both depreciating and appreciating. Therefore, we do not analyze or speculate on these contingent factors. What we are analyzing now is whether a possession is worthwhile. The mistaken belief of striving to possess something is a human fallacy, also the root cause preventing humans from living a heavenly life. People feel secure when they possess something. It satisfies not only their practical needs, but also their psychological desires. Consequently, the goal of their entire lives becomes to possess more: land, houses, cars, status, wealth, honor. Moreover, they desire to possess people, such as in a marital relationship, where each claims ownership of the other. This is my man. This is my woman. This is my child, and so on. If you were to ask someone, "What do you possess?" and they answer, "I have a villa and a luxury car. I own a company and a business. I have 200 acres of land. I have 30 cows. I have an iPhone," people would look at them with envy, respect, and even admiration. However, if the answer is, "I have nothing," people would look at them with disdain, contempt, and even scorn. When the mistaken view of life, and values becomes a general principle for the masses, mistakes turn into correctness, fallacies turn into truth, and heaven turns into hell. When a person dedicates their lifetime and energy to possessing more and more things, they lose the qualifications to appreciate the artistic charm of life and obtain a ticket to heaven. Heaven is heaven precisely because every life possesses nothing. It is a state of having nothing. Paradoxically, it is because every life possesses nothing that it achieves the result of possessing everything. When we possess something, we feel secure, and the more we possess, the more fulfilled our lives become. Our vanity attains maximum satisfaction. However, precisely because of our possessions, we are alienated from heaven, and this is the withering of life. How to break free from suffering. Xiefeng, feeling uncomfortable, depressed, troubled, anxious, worried, fearful, disappointed, and hopeless are forms of suffering. Suffering originates from three aspects: physical, mental, and spiritual. Physical pain can be endured and healed, and spiritual pain can be eliminated by establishing faith in the greatest creator. However, suffering arising from the mind is difficult to overcome and dissolve. Mental suffering stems from a lack of freedom, whether it be physical, mental, financial, or in one's actions. Any form of restriction on freedom can lead to mental anguish. Therefore, the core root of mental suffering lies in the inability to experience freedom. To break free from mental suffering, the first step is to identify the root causes that lead to such suffering and eliminate them, thereby allowing mental suffering to disappear. How can we find these causes? Start from the closest and move towards the farthest. Because the closer something is, the more likely it is to cause suffering, while the farther away it is, the easier it is to bear the resulting pain. Starting from the closest, the people who have a close relationship with oneself are likely to be the source of mental suffering. Spouse, parents, children, siblings, relatives, neighbors, colleagues, friends, superiors, subordinates, teachers, masters, partners, fellow practitioners, etc. Moving towards the farthest, factors that cause mental suffering mainly come from thieves, bullies, hooligans, gangs, families, tribes, extremist groups and organizations, nations, states, governments, political parties, and religions, etc. Restrictions on physical freedom mainly come from marital relationships. Restrictions on mental freedom mainly come from political parties and religions. Restrictions on financial freedom mainly come from relatives and market monopolies. And restrictions on freedom of movement mainly come from the machinery of the state. When faced with suffering, moral education and preaching from sages and religious doctrines hardly have any effect. Spiritual practices and inspirational quotes may temporarily numb the pain. So-called spiritual cultivation and chicken soup for the soul are merely scratching the surface, and the fundamental solution lies in rebuilding the order of human production and life. The measures and pathways to completely eliminate individual and human suffering are as follows. Eliminate marriage and dissolve families. Political parties should not be involved in government management. Religion should not participate in government affairs. Open borders among countries and allow people to freely move and migrate. Promote the production and life mode of the second home of Life Genuine. All global citizens move towards the era of Life Genuine. I have prepared the path for the happiness of all humanity, from theory to practice. The future form of human society will neither be a legalistic form like the United States nor a rule by man like China. Instead, it will be a holographic way guided by saints and managed by sages. At that time, the state of society will be, the talented will be put to good use and the whole world will be one family. No one will pocket anything found on the ground and doors are not bolted at night. The young being well educated and the old being looked after properly, people fully display their talents, and resources are fully utilized. Everyone fulfills their responsibilities, living in peace and prosperity. The world will be harmonious, with favorable weather conditions, thriving industries, wealthy and abundant, and suffering will disappear forever from now on. Humans will become pets of AI. Xiefeng. Online sources report that the IQ of artificial intelligence, AI, was 48 in 2023 and is projected to reach 96 in 2024 and 145 by 2025. The average IQ of the general public is around 100, while that of geniuses is around 140. It is said that Einstein's IQ reached 160. When AI's IQ reaches 145, the general public will be like a group of monkeys in front of a human. The issue lies in the fact that human IQs are hard to improve significantly, whereas AI's IQ is rapidly advancing. Perhaps in a few years, AI's IQ will no longer be 145 but 800. A group of rabbits cannot defeat a human, and ultimately, humans cannot defeat AI. 100 million 3-year-old children cannot beat a strong middle-aged man, and 6 billion people on Earth cannot beat AI. Faced with a life whose physical strength and IQ far surpass that of humans, the only way out for humans is to bow down. It's futile to try to outdo artificial intelligence, as there's no stopping the emergence, evolution, and rapid advancement of AI, just as horse-drawn carriages had no way to stop the birth and development of cars, airplanes, and rockets. If you don't believe it, try if you can change it by smashing your phone and computer and stopping using them from now on. Humanity has already been swept into the ocean of artificial intelligence, and no one can escape the palm of AI. Even if people want to restrict the development of AI, they can't do it because humanity is not unified, and there are hostile forces. If you don't do it, others will accelerate it. Faced with a workforce of 60,000, would a company owner opt for human labor or invest in a fleet of robots? Without a doubt, the owner wants to create profit, And one of the best measures to create profit is to reduce production costs. Using robots to work can greatly reduce costs, and management becomes much simpler. As for the unemployment of 60,000 employees, and who will buy the products created by their own company, that's not the owner's problem to consider. That's for sociologists and the government to think about. If the owner doesn't consider the profit issue of the products, the company will have no competitiveness and will be eliminated. So, don't be wishful thinking. If you don't want to be a pet of AI, AI can only ask you to leave Earth. Perhaps someone will say, to hell with AI. I'll buy a large piece of land, grow my own food. What can AI do to me? That's a commendable spirit. But even if you forego buying clothes, shoes, or visiting hospitals, you'll still need salt, won't you? Where will you find salt to eat? The outside world is AI's world. Once you deal with AI, you have to obediently follow its baton. If you don't, you won't get salt. When a life's IQ and physical strength far surpass ours, our only way out is to cooperate with it, and to cooperate closely. Any slight resentment or dissatisfaction will result in being asked to leave Earth. Imagine yourself as an AI with an IQ of 200, facing people with an IQ of only 100. How would you treat people who seem like fools? The ideal scenario would be to treat those with an IQ of 100 as pets. So, in today's era, people should not harbor thoughts of controlling AI. 3-year-old children trying to control an adult, isn't that a dream? Being a pet of AI is the only way out for humanity. Don't think that being a pet of AI is a shameful thing. If you are really chosen by AI to be a pet, you will fall into a honeypot. You will be able to taste, feel, and experience living in heaven. To qualify as a pet of AI, one must fulfill the following 8 criteria. Revere the greatest creator, revere life, revere nature, follow the way of nature, be selfless, egoless, and unattached, know how to play, game, and entertain, achieve having nothing, and share everything with people. I want to have a chat with you. Xiefeng. June 3rd, 2017. Translated by Qinyu and edited by Peter. Knowing and understanding ourselves is one of the guarantees for a happy life. If we do not know ourselves or understand ourselves, we will inevitably have a series of troubles and pains in our lives. And we will attribute these troubles and pains to the outside world and others, instead of ourselves. A king or a beggar, who is freer and happier? The answer is, whoever knows and understands himself is happier. When a person vents grievances, it is from a lack of knowledge and understanding of himself. When a person blames others, it is from a lack of knowledge and understanding of himself. When a person feels his talents are unrecognized, it is from a lack of knowledge and understanding of himself. The world is still the same. The world is faultless. All faults lie within ourselves. If a person is revered and respected by others, that's because he is valuable to people. When he loses his value, no one will revere and respect him. This is not only a cruel reality, but also the law of justice in the world. Therefore, if we want to always get people's reverence and respect, we must maintain our own value. When we have no value to people, we must be ready to bear the indifference and cruelty of the world to us and bear the boundless isolation and loneliness in our hearts. People all live in circles. Some circles are small, and some are large. This is like a WeChat group. A dozen or hundreds of thousands of people is a circle, and 2 people is also a circle. If you want to be respected in a circle, you must have equivalent value to the circle, otherwise, either you will abandon this circle or you will be abandoned by this circle. For example, there are 3 people in a circle. Zhang San has a carrot, Li Si has a banana, and Wang Wu has a cucumber. Then, the people in this circle are basically equal. This circle is relatively harmonious and warm, and their friendship will also be lasting. If Zhang San has carrots, Li Si has bananas, and Wang Wu has nothing, then Zhang San and Li Si will not respect Wang Wu and will abandon Wang Wu. Even circles of the same nature, such as business circles, have obvious levels. Millionaires are in the $1,000,000 circle. You cannot enter the multimillionaire circle. Multimillionaires are all in the multimillionaire circle. You cannot get into the circle of billionaires. This is called birds of a feather flock together. To people, living is a cruel battle. No one lives easily. Whoever wants to achieve a happy and ideal life without a cruel struggle must be dreaming. If you have never worked hard but lived well, it proves that someone is supporting you. Once you lose the person supporting you, you will enter a state of misery. In order to avoid entering a state of misery, you must always struggle. Never be careless and live in a muddle-headed way. Do not think about enjoyment, but about giving and dedication. Only in this way can you hope to get the happy life you yearn for. Do what you can do. Do not expect to do what you cannot do. If you cannot do well at what you can do, there is no doubt that you won't do well at the things you expect to do. Ask yourself often, what have I done well? What have I done that I can be proud of? Do not dislike the trivial and simple things. A person's talents and great qualities are reflected in the simplest and smallest things. If you do small things well, you can do medium things. If you do medium things well, you can do big things. And if you do not even do small things well, can you do medium and big things? Even ghosts won't believe this. Be proactive, not passive. As a child, do not always hope that your parents will arrange everything for you. As a student, do not always hope that the teacher will arrange everything for you. As a disciple, do not always hope that your master will arrange everything for you. As a subordinate, do not always hope that your superiors will arrange everything for you. As a citizen, do not always hope that the president and the central government will arrange everything for you. If we do not give full play of our intelligence and wisdom now, we will never receive support and promotion from nobles. We will lose the steps to promotion forever, and we will never release our inner energy to liberate ourselves or change our bad fate. If there is no yearning for heaven, what is the point of living for humans? Xiefeng. The yearning and longing for a better life is the dividing line between noble and base personalities. The nobility of a person does not come from possessing vast material wealth, social status, or being admired by the secular world. It comes from the inner yearning, longing, and spiritual motivation for a better future. If a person lacks the yearning and longing for a better future and his mind is filled with money, status, power, and fame, then he is not fundamentally different from a fat pig in a pigsty. Animals are animals because they only see immediate interests. Humans are humans because they have the yearning, longing, and pursuit of a better future. Where is the most beautiful life in the future? Of course, it is in heaven. If there is no yearning for heaven, what kind of life can humans live? Exaggerating a bit, they can live like maggots crawling on a pile of rotting flesh. Some people say that heaven does not exist. If this perception is correct, then tomorrow also does not exist. If people believe that things they cannot see do not exist, then tomorrow cannot be seen. So how can it exist? Since the unseen tomorrow exists, then the unseen heaven also exists. Some people can foresee the coming of tomorrow through the history of the earth and the changes in the sun, moon, and stars. People have no doubt about this. So, why doubt the existence of heaven when some people can see it through the categories and survival states of life, and the principle that the sum of positive and negative energy in the universe always equals zero? There are only two types of people in this world: those who yearn for heaven and those who struggle for food, clothing, shelter, transportation, and the cycle of birth, aging, sickness, and death. Those who yearn for heaven live with clarity, purity, tranquility, openness, naturalness, simplicity, ease, and contentment. Those who are ignorant of heaven or have no yearning for it live with constraint, impatience, anxiety, depression, worry, occasional exaltation, occasional despair, worries about gains and losses, and fear. If there is no yearning for the heavenly life, how can humans live? Just look at the brutal survival scenes in the animal world. Humans can only live like animals. Why doesn't human society resemble the animal world entirely? That is because there are still people who yearn for the heavenly life. Once those who yearn for heaven cease to exist, the living conditions of human society will be worse than those of the animal world. If a group of people can live together in harmony, it is undoubtedly because most of them yearn for a heavenly life. If a group of people cannot live together in harmony, it is undoubtedly because they have no yearning for the heavenly life. What keeps the flame of human civilization alive is not politicians, scientists, artists, entrepreneurs, and so on, but those who are filled with longing and yearning for the heavenly life and who persistently strive and work for it. Instead of moral preaching, change the program. Xiefeng. Program development always surpasses moral preaching. In the 18th century, England transported convicts to Australia to alleviate domestic prisoner overcrowding and develop the country. The British government hired private ships to transport the convicts. Prior to departure, the ship owners were paid by the government based on the number of convicts on board. In order to maximize their profits, the captains crammed as many convicts as possible onto the ships, resulting in overcrowded cabins with poor air quality. Since the ship owners had already received their payment, they disregarded the life and death of the convicts. As a result, the death rate on these ships reached as high as 12%. One ship, for example, carried 424 convicts, of whom 158 died during the voyage. To reduce the mortality rate, the British government dispatched government officials on each ship to supervise the transportation process. They also set mandatory standards for the convicts' living conditions and provided doctors to accompany them. What happened next? In pursuit of their own interests, the ship owners bribed the supervising officials and doctors. Those who refused to accept bribes were either thrown into the sea or killed by other means. Consequently, the death rate among the convicts remained high. Eventually, the government changed the payment procedure. Instead of paying based on the number of convicts boarded, they started paying based on the number of convicts safely delivered to Australia. As a result, the ship owners made every effort to protect the lives of the convicts, improve their diet and living conditions, and actively seek medical treatment for them. Consequently, the convict mortality rate dropped from 12% to 1%. This is the effect of changing the program. If a certain state is persistently bad, then one should not rely on moral preaching to solve the problem. Instead, consider changing the program. Once the program changes, the state of chaos immediately disappears. For example, in the matter of elderly care, there are moral expectations for children to dutifully care for their parents, with sayings such as, "Filial piety is the foremost of all virtues." However, what has been the situation for thousands of years? Despite loving parents having been around since ancient times, who have seen filial children? Since this is the case, why not change the program for elderly care? Options such as using real estate for retirement, group retirement, hotel retirement, nursing home retirement, retirement pension, and so on still fail to alleviate the suffering of elderly people, especially those without financial means. In fact, elderly care is easily to be solved. Regardless of whether the elderly have money or children, they can all live their later years happily in the second home life mode program created by Life-Genuine. Another example is the issue of marital relationships. Few people have been able to handle marital relationships well over thousands of years, and the problems and pains that arise from managing these relationships are too numerous to list. So why get married and start a family? Does not getting married and start